And that's why they call him Mr. Bombastic. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to Black Dog number 336. Yes.
Do you know what? I feel as though, I don't know what it is, but every 100 episodes we come around and we do the same thing all over again. Same, same numbers seem to appear. The number 39. Every 100 episodes, and I'm not quite sure why that is. It might be telling us something.
39?
Yeah, because 339.
Yeah, we're on 336.
Or 36, yeah. But it's getting there.
Yeah.
How many weeks of horror is this at the moment?
Sorry, Elton, what was that?
How many weeks of horror is this at the moment?
About 28.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I think Jim made a very important discovery there. Sorry, Jim, did you say that 9 is 6 turned upside down?
Pretty much. Most fonts.
Dorothy, hand me my tin hat.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. 336 and 339 are the same episode. That's brilliant. We can take not next week, but the week after off.
So this is just going to be a cut and paste job for next week.
Yeah, just cut and paste. Drop the fucking lot. Right, yeah. Can you tell my enthusiasm is wavering on this podcast? Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 336. Six. Yes, and we're back. We've had another week off, so we'll see how everyone's week's been, or fortnight now. See if Jim's got any teeth left in his head after what's been going on last time, yes, and then we'll get on to Jim's choice for this week's 12th week of horror, 17th week of horror. I mean, it's good. We're doing it in November. We're just cycling round. Hopefully, by the time this season's finished, it'll be October 31st, 2018. And and that is Salem's Lot. So we'll be doing the 1979 Salem's Lot. Yes, it's gonna be. Anyway, so we shall see how everyone's fortnight's been. And we'll start with you, Jim, because obviously last we left you were doing your Marathon Man impression with the dentist.
Well, I was back at the dentist and had another 4 teeth out.
Oh.
Well, 4 teeth and
Ouch.
2 other bits of old crown.
Oh, Jesus.
So I had a fun week on antibiotics and painkillers and eating soft foods.
You've been at the soft rolls again?
No, sorry, I just dreamed of soft rolls. It was soup and porridge.
Oh, right.
When you have 6 teeth out in one morning.
Oh, man, that's the worst. So can you please tell me it wasn't local? It was general anaesthetic?
No, it was local.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what, put that on the bloody list for tomorrow, Elton. Bloody hell. Yeah. Okay.
I will do.
Yeah, Jesus, put that on that list. Oh, how do you put up with that? Can I just ask? I know most people are dentophobic, much like myself. But how do you go through 4 or 5 teeth being removed? Or 4 teeth and a crown? How do you...
Well, so it was 6 extractions in all.
Oh, Jesus.
With great fear and trepidation and a lot of pain afterwards. Which is
so you didn't feel anything at the time?
Oh, no, it did hurt at the time.
Oh, Jesus, God.
Fucking hell, man.
Oh. I would reassure you, but frankly, I don't see why the fuck I should. When the dentist said, you may feel some discomfort, you will. Because you're actually, just having a tooth pulled out by its roots.
Oh.
I mean, it wasn't hugely painful, but it wasn't exactly pleasant. It's more the fear, I can feel that, how much more I'm going to feel.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
Right. So, apart from that, which is actually making my lips curl and my toes
I'm
curl.
not even thinking about it.
Just no.
Bypassing that in my head, gone. Away from there. I'm somewhere else. I'm in my happy place. Have a look here in a field.
Have a look here in a field of wheat.
Yep.
Anything else, Jim? Tell me you had something going on which was a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Not really. That's really.
Oh shit!
Most of last week was convalescing.
Oh God!
I mean, you come out and I was still numb for quite some time. Fortunately, so I had painkillers on hand for when the injections worn off. But obviously, having that many out and back teeth as well, which are bastards, obviously. I had a very swollen and bruised face for quite some time. I was in a lot of pain. And it was only really Sunday, Monday, there was I had a day where I didn't have any painkillers.
Oh. How many teeth have you actually got left now, Jim? I'm sure it's easier to count the ones you got left than the ones you've lost.
But I have no more at the back, at the bottom now.
Oh dear.
Oh my God! Right. Okay. And are you having them replaced or anything?
No, I will get a dental sort of plate with some stunt teeth on, but not for a while because obviously mouth's still actually swollen.
Yeah. Stunt teeth is good,
well,
though.
I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire.
It's true, I have my teeth out on a pay. Hey. Oh my word! Yeah, so you're getting Lee Majors in your mouth.
Really now?
Wow. Sorry, we shouldn't be making light of it. I would not be making light of it if the roles were reversed, because I'd just be I'd be in trauma right now, rocking backwards and forwards. Yep. I couldn't stand 1 2s coming out, let alone 5 in a row or 6. It's just like, fuck that.
Yeah, but sometimes
it's weird because your body does actually go into shock because you can all right, blah blah blah, dentist, whatever. Let's just clear the mind and go into this, and you can be quite calm, but your body afterwards going, what the bloody hell have you just let happen?
Yeah, but sometimes it's
and it is actually, I reckon I remember feeling this before when when friends were in a car accident. Oh, it's shock, isn't it? I remember this sort of strange feeling. This flowing, my body's pumping all kinds of bizarre chemicals, going, what the hell's going on, you maniac?
What have you done to me? Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say sometimes it's better to have them pulled out. I mean, I remember being in incredible pain once with one tooth, so much so that my girlfriend at the time came down and found me trying to remove it with a fucking butcher's knife.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, I was in that much pain. I literally couldn't see straight.
Wow. So this sounds like a sort of weird therapy podcast now. I think we've moved away from films. I think we've left films well behind. So you want to talk about sort of sticking a butcher's knife in your mouth to remove teeth, Dal? Or?
Yeah, well, she stopped me from doing it. She caught me I was about to have a go, and it just I really was. I really just couldn't stand it anymore. It was really. It's psychotic pain, that one, the sort of pain that does turn you psychotic. So,
well, clearly,
yeah.
I mean, I
just lost all reason. It was just like, you have to come out now.
That sounds like Tom Hanks with an ice skating boot.
Oh, for God's sakes! I mean, I appreciate you trying to get it back on track with the bloody films and everything there, Elton. But come on, Jesus, right? Well, if Jim, if you're finished, we'll move on to Elton. While we've still got listeners who aren't sort of holding their mouths and screaming in the sky. Right. So Elton, how was your week?
It's been quite dull compared to everyone else's, really.
Right. Okay.
We had Halloween over the course of the break.
Right.
And I think the most exciting it got was my daughter went out trick-or-treating.
Right.
And was promptly scared by a man dressed up as a clown. We had one of them clown guys walking around the village trying to scare the bejesus out of everyone.
Well, isn't that kind of the point?
By the sounds of it.
Yeah, he did well. Yeah, the boy done good.
Well, that's what I thought. There was a few people moaning about it. I'm like, well, isn't that his job
to
do that?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not getting paid for it, but...
No.
That is the object of the exercise, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. In the middle of March, maybe it's a bit weird. I wouldn't call the police, as some people tend to do at the moment, because they see a person dressed up as a clown. They're like, well, that's highly illegal, isn't it? We can't have that around here.
Yeah, especially if you're standing in the nursery.
I wonder, though, were they the same people, the ones that complained about the clown being out on Halloween, were they the same people that complained about, all the way back in the 80s, Ghost Watch being scary and containing the possibility of ghosts? Because they tuned in.
How dare you make a scary program about ghosts that made me scared of ghosts?
Yeah, called Ghost Watch, meaning you're watching ghosts.
Yeah.
It's there. It's like a tin with the thing written on the outside of it. It's
triggered. I woke up one day and saw a possessed Michael Parkinson. Ever since then, every time I see a possessed Michael Parkinson on telly, I get triggered. So please don't show me Ghost Watch where a possessed Michael Parkinson.
Hello, my name's Michael Parkinson, or Satan, as I'm known to my friends.
Would you like to buy this Parker pen?
Yeah, no salesman will call, but your soul will be forfeit. Anyway, so actually, yeah,
that was round about it. Really, I really haven't had much to. I've been doing a bit of decorating indoors. Blew up a drill, but
nice. Go on, do tell.
How I blew up a drill?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have this drill, and it was my granddad's, and it's been running absolutely fine for years and years and years. But last couple of months, it's been running slow. It's been getting ever so slow to the point where you're trying to drill through something, and it just doesn't even want to. It'd be easier if I got a spoon and dug a hole in the wall than actually use this.
I was going to say, it sounds like, was it Clint Eastwood in Escape to Alcatraz, just slowly working a teaspoon through a concrete wall.
Yeah. And so I decided to take it all apart, and took it all apart, cleaned it all up, and it worked fine. And I was drilling away, and it was working absolutely fine. Then all of a sudden, pop, and it blew up. That was it. Didn't get electric shock or anything like that, but that was it. It was just had enough. It gave up the ghost.
Oh.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Really. Oh, had a bit of bad news today as well.
Oh yeah.
I may be here next week. I may not be here next week. It's because we're probably having the cat put down next week. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
he's the coolest dude in town, and he's like 18, possibly 19 years, and he just doesn't do anything now. He's broken.
He's broken.
Yeah.
Better to do it now than when he starts pissing all over the place.
Yes.
And then
well, Amanda took him to the vet today, and it was a case of, you're going to have to do it very, very soon. Very, very soon. In other words, the next week.
Yeah.
So, you've got a decision to make.
I'm at a similar position with my dad. but I'll...
She's a prick.
But I'll get around to that another time, maybe.
Fucking hell. I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, I don't think anyone was. Trust me, it's never mind. Okay, well, sorry to hear about your cat, dude. And
that's right. It's one of the things. Circle of life and everything. Simba falling off a mountain, etc.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't get a monkey to hold him up afterwards. That's just going to be rubbing the salt in, to be honest.
Oh, that'd just be gross, wouldn't it? Yeah. Look at this horrible dead cat that I'm lifting up. No,
while Elton John and Hans Zimmer play in the background, a circle of life. Nice, probably not good.
No.
Standing there.
Apart from that, quite dull, really.
Okay, right. Fine. Well, Darren, over to you, sir.
Right. Well, mine's a bit of a mixed bag. Let's start off with the.
Have you had any limbs lopped off? Any animals died, or some enormous tragedy in your life?
I almost had a limb. Sort of like, disintegrate.
Good. Let's talk about that.
Not disintegrate, but it's my week, or my last few weeks of mechanical bad luck started off one morning. Pulled that hairdryer, switched it on, and the thing just went bang in my hand and exploding in a puff of fucking smoke and sparks.
Right
now. I'm looking at this to try and find out what the fuck went wrong with it. And part way down the handle, or down the bottom where I've got my hand, I notice it's I'm feeling really warm down there, and I look down, and the fucking exposed wire is right there where my hand is. So it's no wonder it's starting to feel warm. It's like residue charge. So that came out the socket.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the saga of the my washing machine did done fuck up.
Yeah, we did done fuck up the washing machine last time.
No, but there's been more.
How are we now? Yeah.
Yeah, there's been more with this
right
now. So for those keen listeners who know about this, we had the replacement for the replacement drum. Or we had a drum replacement brought in, and that was fucked. And then Roger Taylor, he was out, and so they ordered a replacement for the replacement. And then the replacement for the replacement turned up at the depot, and you would think that on the day that it arrived there, they'd check it, but no, they waited until the morning that they were due to bring it around and told us that it did done fuck up. So they might have to order a replacement for the replacement for the replacement. And it was at that point we went, we want a new washing machine, you fuckers.
A new washing machine, yeah.
Yes. So they gave us a code to take in to Curry's. And you know what? Why have this is the first thing that got my back up, apart from the whole fucking the travesty of the things breaking anyway. It's like, why have we got to do the legwork on this? Why aren't you looking this up on your computer and asking us which one do we want, and then ordering it all for us and arranging it? Mind you, it probably would have turned up fucking broken if it had been them blokes.
I was going to say.
So anyway, we got a code, and Laura went and got she's ordered one. It's turning up on Sunday. So this is good. Hurrah!
Hooray!
No more having to take bundles and bundles of shopping or washing round to mum and dad's to get it bloody well sorted.
Nice.
We finally roped in the neighbours as well. We got them washing our stuff.
How much bloody washing do you two generate?
It was
How
tough.
big are your pads?
My pads are very big.
It's like fucking two Zeppelins being stitched together or something.
They need to be bigger, and trust me.
You've seen the size of his arse when he sits down. It's fucking enormous.
An arse like a baboon.
I was going to say, he's like a helium-inflated elephant.
This baby does indeed have back. I'll tell you that now.
Your milkshake does indeed bring all the boys to the yard.
It certainly does, yes.
Damn right.
Like Annika Rice all over again.
Now, in no certain order, this is going to get a little bit acid flashbacky. This week also last week had the birthday of Anne-Marie Org.
Yes.
Of course. And went out for that.
Yes.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good night out at the pub.
Cool.
But it was the main action happened on the way back on the train. Right. So we're all sat there. There's four of us sat there on the train.
Yeah.
And you've got Pete sat next to me facing Anne-Marie, right?
Presumably out of his face.
A little bit.
Yes.
And so was she.
Yes.
Right? And this is a fact you must remember.
Yes.
Because I sat there in the chair, I sat there next to him, and I slowly nodded off.
As you do.
And then it was like the crew of the Nostromo waking up because they've got a distress signal. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wake up to chaos.
Yeah.
Right? Because I look at Anne-Marie, she's a bit shocked. And then I look at where she's looking, and it's Pete. And I look round, and going on the whole alien thing again. You know when Ash gets destroyed and that's what I'm seeing sitting next to me, right? I'm seeing a man covered head to toe in what looks like ready brick.
Oh my god.
Right? Anne-Marie has just projectile vomited right in his face. Right? And he's just like it's like, you remember those polyfiller adverts where you had the bloke who used to put the polyfiller on himself and attach himself to a board, and then a helicopter would come and pick him up just to show you how strong polyfiller was. That was what I was. Any minute I thought the board's going to drop out of the ceiling and Pete's going to go on there and up and away.
It's a shame we're not doing The Exorcist this week.
It is, because that would have been quite appropriate.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know what to, do you know what? If I'd had a packet of tissues handy, I would have pulled one out and just handed it to him. God, I think you need this, mate.
I bet there's not a drop on her as well.
No, there wasn't at all.
It's just all on Pete.
Exactly. I got a small splash on me, but that was nothing compared to Pete. He just got it completely in the face.
He was, can you feel the force?
Exactly.
He's right in there, yeah?
If it had been a little bit higher, it actually would have been in his face. And then he would have had just like, those comedy scenes where they take off their glasses after they've been hit by, it would have been like that. just like these 2 holes in the ready brick where his eyes are. So yeah, that was quite that was not something I really want to wake up to on a regular basis.
Well,
fortunately, she timed it so that it was actually in between Falconwood and Welling. So we were there. We got off and went.
Right.
So I think he managed to make it home before it dried and turned into concrete. It became like a living statue. Have you seen the new artwork in Welling High Street?
Yeah, one of those weeping angels.
Yeah.
Doctor Who.
It's called Vicar Goes on a Beano. Look.
Yeah, Vicar in shock.
Yeah.
What was that film that we watched where the guy ended up in a plaster cast?
After Hours. After Hours, yeah.
So he's just going to get dropped off outside the rectory in the morning.
That's right.
Smash,
and get out, and then start his day all over again. So there was that. On an entertainment front, I did speed through all of Stranger Things season 2 and finish that, which was absolutely brilliant. Really, really liked that. That was really, really good.
Yep.
What else did we see? Oh, and of course, Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
So I saw that and thoroughly enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, lots of good laughs there. Especially for one character, a character called Korg, who many people will see when they go and see this film, who's particularly funny.
Yes.
In this,
I tried to start a revolution.
Don't tell him. Jeff Goldblum as well, particularly good.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody that was in it was extremely good.
He's melting all over the floor. You're going to clear him up? You're going to melt him. He's melting. We call that a draw. Who's hungry?
So yeah, highly recommend that. If nobody's seen it yet, get out there and go watch it. If you fancy a good off, need cheering up, then Thor Ragnarok is
very much so.
Is definitely.
We're going to have to travel to the devil's anus. I was all up for going down there until I found out what it was called.
Shush! Don't say anything more. You're spoiling jokes for people now. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's tons of them. It's just like, it literally is laugh a minute.
Yes.
So yeah. So go see that. Thumbs up and all this.
Right.
And I'm sure there's other stuff. I'm sure there's
you dressed up.
Oh, I did. Yes, MCM.
Yes,
Comic-Con. Yeah, see, I told you there's going to be acid flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm just giving you all the heads up now.
There you go. See, you know more about my week than I do.
Because I followed you on Facebook.
Yes, you do. And you've probably written all this down. What's my itinerary?
Well,
secretary?
Apparently you're going to be washing your pants.
I am, yes. Yeah, so I have washed my pants.
No, again.
Oh, again. Oh, yes.
In about 5 minutes.
So, yeah, MCM Comic-Con. Only went for a day this time. But, yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really good. Managed to get some stuff done with some professional photographers as well there. So there's some more shots coming out that I'm hoping will look absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
I've seen a couple of them as well. Had some done in one of the car parks under MCM itself with some, and there's a lot of stuff of me in shadow and whatever.
You mean you filmed in the dark?
Yeah.
Nice.
But no, it's good. They're good. The guy showed me all the photos afterwards. He's like, oh, yes, please. I'll have some of those, you know.
Yeah.
So yes, very, very good. I'm just trying to think what else happened there when I was there. Nope, that's about it.
That's it.
I think.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in a video as well. Managed to get myself into a cosplay music video, me and Andy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's hopefully coming very soon.
Okay. Cool.
So there you go.
Excellent. Good work.
Thank you.
Right. Well, my week, fortnight, has been... Oh, it's been up and down.
Has it now?
Yeah.
Like a fiddler's elbow.
Yeah, like a fiddler's elbow. Let's do the positives. Let's focus on the positives.
Let's do that.
Firstly, saw Thor Ragnarok, which was very good, except for there was a school party, birthday party up the back, which wouldn't shut up. But that didn't mind so much. But then also what happened was I got a massive dose of estrogen from the two girls behind me and my daughter who was sitting beside me when Thor suddenly revealed his muscular frame.
He did, yes.
Yes.
Stood there with no top on.
He did. He wandered backwards and forwards. And it was quite amusing because what happened...
Look at my guardian nipples.
Yes. Because, I'm sitting there and there's Claire... was it Kate Blanchett in a slinky, CGI slinky
Kate
thing.
Blanchett as Hela, my word.
Yeah, and I'm...
Be still my beating heart.
And I'm like, well, I do declare. And
may I welcome our new ruler of the universe
with your spiky hair.
Yeah.
And then, oh my, exactly. And there's Katie sitting beside me, going like, "Dad, fucking no," sort of thing.
Put your trousers back on. Dude.
Stop rubbing your knees. You fucking dirty old bastard.
Zip it up.
No, so she's like that, and then all of a sudden, just a little bit further on. As I say, there's the eponymous Thor shirt moment, and suddenly I noticed that she's leant forward quite a bit.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But also, the two girls that were behind us...
They've also leant forward.
So it's like they're in line with my head, and Katie's like one row forward. Like, oh, right, it's okay for you guys.
Did you go, Katie?
Fucking hell.
Stop it.
Jeez, he's embarrassing me. So, but apart from that, really good film. Had a lot of fun. Only one criticism I have with it, but unfortunately it's a spoiler. But I did find the way it dealt with certain characters from the previous two films and what happened to them being dismissed with gags kind of often made it feel like it was always playing for the gags. It was going for the comedy when, sometimes you could have a little bit of drama in there.
Yes.
That was the only thing I didn't like. It was like, Guardians of the Galaxy, you can have comedy and drama. Whereas Thor, something really kind of bad happens to some characters, and I say no more than that, and it gets dismissed with a gag. And you're like, yeah, but that should have more weight and import than it currently does. And it's just like, oh, okay, you're going to keep playing for gags then. And it's like, once I knew that, I was kind of okay with it. But it was just like, occasionally I'm kind of thinking, oh, I should be going, but actually I'm going, ha ha ha, like this. And it was just a bit, it felt like it was going too far into the comedy realm, where it should have just given us a little bit of stakes. But anyway, I'll say no more about that. Yesterday, I saw Death of Stalin.
You did, and
which
how was
is
that?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
If you like things like In the Thick of It, and
directed by
Armando Iannucci. Yeah,
Iannucci, that's it.
Yeah, it's the same style, except set during the Russian Revolution after Stalin died, and it is hilarious. But it is also terrifying because as I found out on the way home, it's like you look it up and you go, actually, all this shit really happened.
Yeah, I think somebody else I know saw it and said that. It kind of put him. It put him, his humour out of joint for a minute there when he realised that all this shit had actually happened.
Yeah, well, there's moments, just silly stuff, just like, they have lists of just people who are getting taken out of the house and getting murdered just because they're on a list. And then this conductor, is standing in the house and he sees the secret police coming up the stairs and he looks at his wife and he's like, oh my God, please, tell them anything they need to hear because you've got to be safe and all this sort of thing. And it gets really quite dark. And it turns out they've called it, they've grabbed him because there was a concert that was on the radio and no one recorded it. And Stalin phoned up and went, I like that concert. I want a recording of it. I'll be sending someone around in 17 minutes. And it turned out no one was recording it. And the original conductor, after doing all the work, had basically fainted. So they had to go out and get a new conductor to do the whole thing again. And the bloke who owned the theatre wouldn't let any of the crowd leave. So they all had to sit down again and do the whole fucking concert again and record it, to the point where they actually ended up having to get people out of the street just to sit inside and clap really loudly.
Yeah.
And it's like, and all of this happens, all this shit goes on. And then all of a sudden, like, this this soldier turns up and gets the vinyl and stumps back to Stalin and knocks on the door, and Stalin just looks at him, takes the vinyl off him and goes, "What took you so long? You fucking walk."
Who's played Stalin in it?
I don't know. He looks a bit like Morgan
Freeman.
I nearly said Morgan Freeman. It looked like Martin Freeman, but it's not. But everyone talks in like in their sort of native language.
Yeah, I've heard that, and they're apparently
except for Jason Isaacs, who does this kind of weird Leeds northern accent, and he turns up as like the head of the Red Army,
right?
And just when he turns up and he's like, right, what's a fucking 5-star general got to do to get a fucking drink round here?
Yeah, there's I think it was some of the crew, some of the Russian crew actually thanked them for not putting on Russian accents.
Not putting on the Russian accents.
Exactly.
Yes,
and doing this, they just said, no, this is great that you're doing it in your own accents.
Yeah. So anyway, but it is scary, it's funny, and it's very enjoyable. Yeah, I definitely thumbs up. Definitely one of my favourites of the year so far.
Yeah.
The other thing, went on holiday, which was the reason why we weren't here
by
last
accident
week.
or deliberately?
No, we deliberately did. Went for a long weekend in Barcelona, which is lovely, except for when it's about to go through potentially a massive civil war.
I was saying to people that I know in work that only you could book a holiday to a country that's going through a bit of a revolution at the moment.
Yeah, well, just as we landed, it turned out the Catalan Prime Minister ran to Geneva to not get arrested by the Spanish forces. So that was good.
Did he use up his duty free, or did he let you have it so you can bring back some cigarettes?
He came past. He went, "Here, take it."
You can have some. Yeah. Just take my allowance.
No,
you can
smash the Toblerone into your chest.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the only place you can ever buy Toblerone, isn't it? Duty free.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
I'm not here to buy a large Toblerone, you fuckers.
But the place itself, lovely, absolutely gorgeous. The flat we had was amazing.
Was that an Airbnb you had?
Yeah, right in the centre of town, which was lovely for getting around, but it was also not very lovely for when we came out the door on a Sunday and there was Spanish flags and thousands of people walking up and down the plaza.
And armoured police and stuff like this.
No, actually, they were all right. They were actually really quite cool. Everyone was just chilled. Yeah. I was more chilled than we were expecting. But yeah, the whole thing was really nice overall. But
yeah.
Now it's well documented on this podcast that I'm not fond of flying.
No, you're not. You are on a scale of the Wright brothers to B.A. Baracus. You definitely are up there saying, "I pity the fool."
Yeah, I'm definitely up there being given a drugged hamburger and a drugged glass of milk before loading myself onto a helicopter.
Sun's getting low. Did you have somebody coming? Sun's getting low.
Sun's getting low, big guy. Sun's getting. Just stop saying that. Anyway, and basically, I bought myself an app, which I did promote, which was fucking great. It was £20, but you put it on the plane, and it actually talks to the autopilot. And then
what do you mean talks to the autopilot? Well, you can control the bastard.
No. The autopilot actually has a little transponder signal, and your phone app. That's why it's so expensive. And they'd say don't put in times and dates and flights just for fun, because every time you do that, it costs money. And basically what you do is you get on the plane and it says don't put it on flight mode until you are literally on the runway.
Yeah.
And then what happens is this little blue signal comes on the app, and it's talking to the autopilot, and the autopilot gives you a rundown of precisely where the turbulence is expected to be on the flight.
Wow, that's
and it's going to be, and then it's got all the monitoring and what's happening, and it's listening through the microphone.
Yeah.
Of your phone, and so when you hear things like the before the plane gets ready, he goes, "Oh, don't worry, that's the secondary hydraulics coming on. Let me just tell you a little bit of fact about the secondary hydraulics. There's a tertiary hydraulics, which if that one failed, this one would come on, and the plane would still glide for 45 minutes from 40,000 feet. So this is like super extra reasons you're not going to get knocked down.
So this is putting you to sleep without the aid of any drugs, then?
Well, exactly. But also, it's actually got a tremor meter.
Yeah.
And it tells you like how strong it has to be to really cause you any grief, and gives you turbulence level 1.
Yeah.
It's like that's like being on a train.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels worse because you're doing 800 miles an hour when it happens. So it feels like a big bounce, but actually you've literally only moved like 2 or 3 centimeters.
Ah, right.
And it goes through all this thing, and literally as the plane goes to take off, it says, now put us into airline mode. So you go put it into airline mode. And then after that, it's purely reading off of the autopilot. And the autopilot saying, oh, we're going to bank now. We normally only banking about 2 to 3 degrees. Oh, we're going up at like 6 degrees. Don't worry, there'll be a little bit of turbulence here when we change echelons between different atmosphere types, but that's perfectly safe. This is happening. And it literally walks you through. It sends you little text messages all the way through the flight as everything happens.
Gosh.
And I'm like, this is fucking great. Because it literally just... You don't worry about anything because you're like, oh, I know why that's happening now. I know what that sound is now. Yeah. And then, things like, oh, you may feel a sag. It may feel like the plane's going down, but actually what's happening is the plane is tipping forward. And if you look at the dials, you'll see that it's still going up.
Yeah.
But it's going at a more shallow angle, but your body is feeling the nose tip, not the engine's drop.
Yeah.
It's kind of an optical, sort of an internal ear optical illusion thing. And it's like, this is great. Yay, I love it. And it literally took me all the way through the flight, and they went, oh, we're going to have a little bit of turbulence. There's a 20% chance of there being turbulence. It's level 1, and it'll only last for 6 minutes, and you'll be fine. And it's like, okay, cool. Thank you, Mr. App. Now, that's all good, but what it also recommends is that you put some blue tack on the back of your phone to stick it to a flat surface, like the tray or the arm of your chair or whatever.
Yeah.
And did that. But I had to buy the blue tack in the airport.
Yeah.
Now, we go on holiday, everything's fine. Come back from holiday, and all our stuff has gone into the luggage hold. Where normally we had it as overhead locker, but now it's all in the luggage hold. And it's like, oh fuck, we have to go and get the luggage. Because it's done that, I've forgotten that I've left my coat in the overhead locker.
Okay.
And I've gone out, and that's all fine. Gone out, standing there, waiting for the luggage to come around, and I'm like, oh shit, I've left my coat on the plane.
Yeah.
So, go to the lost luggage.
Yeah.
Go up to them and say, right, okay, sorry, but I've left my coat on the plane. It's this coat. It's in row 13 and all this sort of thing. And they're like, okay, no problems. We'll just call the plane, get it, because the plane's being all fueled up and set up and everything. So it's like, okay, cool. They phone up. Yep. Oh. Right. Oh, right. Okay. Right, fine. Okay, fine. They put the phone down.
Yeah.
And then the lady just says, well, look, here's a form. Fill it in. And we can we'll send you the coat afterwards. There's something going on with the plane. They're really dealing with something a bit on the plane.
Did they find the blue tack and think it was plastic explosive?
Well, that's the thing. That's the punchline. I'm like, okay, fine. Get in the taxi, and as we're driving back, I suddenly thought, I wonder if my coat is what caused the disaster, because everyone's picked up my coat and there's this big block of plastic blue tack on the interior pocket of my coat, and my coat is now being blown up by security forces in Gatwick.
Fucking robots gone in.
Robots taking my coat apart, just like.
All you can hear is the little trundling wheels of that robot taking it out to the deepest depths of Heathrow.
Yeah, exactly. In a big fucking lead line bucket. So that's a long way around to that gag. Anyway, as it turned out, didn't. That was they did find it, but my coat did look a bit scuffed, so I think it may have something may have happened to it. What else? Fireworks night, that was lovely. Watched loads of things blow up, celebrating the almost destruction of government by showing us exactly what it would like if they'd done it. And Inktober is carrying on. I'm still doing Inktober.
Yes, I'm liking your output, sir.
I'm into Inkvember now. So there you go. Inkvember, not Inktober, hashtag.
Yeah.
And that's about it, I think. I think that's about it. Oh, and I got my Arrow special edition steel book of The Thing.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, gonna be watching that pretty soon.
Is that a 2-disc job? Or?
Yeah, for 3, I think. 3 discs. 3 discs, yes.
Wow.
It's very nice.
That's very, very
so
good.
I'll be having a look at that soon. I'm trying to think what else I've done. Oh, we may or may not be on the air next week because I've got to swap over not 1, but 2 hard drives. Yes.
Oh, wow.
I've got to cross over the system hard drive.
Yep.
And swap that out for a 250 gig SSD, and I've also got to get the 1 terabyte data drive.
Going to
switch that out for a 2 terabyte drive. So we may not be on the air next week. That's all I'm saying now. I'm giving fair warning that it may all go a bit Pete.
Are we going to have to get 11 from Stranger Things in just in case you open a portal to the Upside Down?
Upside Down, yeah, Inside Out, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Or the Upside Down, called The Right Way Up.
Yeah, the Inside Out, the Upsy Daisy.
The left to right, the me to you.
The oops upside your head.
Yeah, the oops upside your head. Yeah, the Fatback Band.
No, that was Thingy, not the Fatback Band.
Who was it then?
Oh, God. Oh, it's some group, but it's not the Fatback Band. It's the guys who did Big Fun.
Big Fun was done by Big Fun.
No, there was another group that did a track called Big Fun that did Oops Upside Your Head.
Hold on, we got to solve this problem.
Yeah,
now.
Have a look now.
Okay, I'm having a look now. Oh, I've got 2 more notifications. Oops.
The Gap Band.
That's it. Yeah, opened a successful chain of shops later on in their career.
Yeah, that's it. Upside your head. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is if anybody goes to Barcelona, a little tip for you, which may seem counterintuitive, but given how the Imperial is often our metric, Imperial metric, of expensive drinks.
Yes.
I found out that if you have a drink in a restaurant, it's cheaper than if you're sitting outside watching the world go by in the tables that they've laid out for you. Do you want to know how much?
Go on in.
Right. Okay. Here's a little one for you before we go to the film, and I'll take numbers from all of you.
Okay.
Right. So we got 1.5 pints of sangria.
Yeah.
1.5 pints of beer.
Okay.
1 pint of Sprite.
Yeah.
And water.
Where's this?
In Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona. Okay.
How much was just those, not including the food?
So
just those.
So 2 soft drinks.
2 soft drinks, 1 sangria, 1 beer, big jugs. Darren, how much do you reckon?
Personal.
Yeah,
big jugs are extra.
Yeah, you don't want me to call you Big Jugs now, do you?
Oh, Big Jugs Barnard.
Big Jugs Barnard. God. So how much do you reckon?
I'm not going to give you in pesetas or euros they use.
Pesetas.
Yeah, fucking hell. You're going to start singing Viva la España.
I was watching, I caught an episode of, what's his name? Only Fools and Horses the other day where they go to Spain and win the lottery. I think it is, they win like 1 million pesetas. It turns out to be £2.50 or something like that.
Go on, in pounds.
In pounds, I would say about 25 quid.
Right, okay. Elton?
£16.50.
Okay, Jim?
36 quid.
You're closest. It was £45.
Shut up.
Yes. 45 quid.
I wonder having a revolution.
Yeah, no.
It's not a Catalan uprising, just British tourists being outraged.
Yeah, exactly. They've all just got the bill. It's like, fucking hell. But if you had it indoors, if you went indoors, it'd be half of that.
Really?
Yeah. So there you go. So a little tip from the top. It might be nice to sit outside and watch the world go by, but you may find your money goes a lot further if you just sit indoors and look out the window. Just so you know. Right. Anyway, right, let's move on. Should we have a little bit of oops upside your head for the
Yeah,
jingle?
go on, do it. Oops upside your head.
Okay. Let's have a bit of this. Oh, fuck off your fucking adverts. Fucking YouTube brat.
Say oops upside your head. Say oops upside your head.
Yeah.
That's not the Gap Band. That's off one of those Top of the Pops albums.
It is.
Say oops upside your head.
We're back again.
Oh dear.
Now I want to see you all on the floor.
Oh my god, it's
serious dancing.
this is one of those horrible sort of Hindu music jobs.
And you love.
Oh, shut up, you tart. Jesus. Oh, there's another fucking advert.
Every business
Why is he with
needs
adverts? Fuck you, adverts. Fuck off.
Say oops upside your head.
That's more like it.
Oops upside your head. Say oops upside your head.
Everyone,
Say
come on.
oops upside your head. Say oops up.
Anybody got a birthday in the audience tonight?
Say oops.
Yes, welcome to a rocking night here at Pacers. Just remember, it's 2-for-1 drinks at the bar at the moment. Happy hour, everybody.
Could someone help Gladys onto the floor? Gladys onto the floor.
Time to get in your groove pants.
Can we have clean up on aisle 4? Aisle 4 clean up. There's been a drink spill. Yep. Keep going. Yes. That's it. That's it, Nan. Go on off. Look, there she goes. She's got her pants going. Right, anyway. This is not really setting the mood for a Salem's Lot, a movie vampire but we'll try. Anyway, let's just kill that off. There you go. Fuck you. Right. So, let's do the film. Can you tell we haven't done this for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do the film. I'll press the buttons. Dance for us, nudie ladies.
Nudie ladies.
Dance for us.
Ladies of nudiness.
Dancing in the flames. Look at them spin.
Yes.
Spin, ladies.
There's one doing a head spin. Oh,
There's
hello.
some there she's doing a breakdance. Hello. Right, okay. So, Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is also known as Salem's Lot the movie or Salem's Lot the mini-series and Bloodthirst. Oh, I didn't know that.
The Bloodthirst.
Bloodthirst. It's a 1979 American TV adaptation of the horror novel of the same name by Stephen King. Yeah, it's of the same name. Not quite the book, though, as I find out as I watched it this time round. But we'll get to that.
No.
It's directed by Toby Hooper, starring...
It is Toby.
Is it Toby?
It is Toby.
I've always wondered, because he kind of seems to switch between whoever's reviewing it. It goes Toby, Tobe. Anyway, and I've just... Yeah, so Toby, brilliant. On that now. Right, cool. So Toby Hooper, starring David Soul and James Mason, who will be our default...
He will be our voice of the night. I'm going to bugger off now in the Nautilus. Toodle pip.
Yes, you can trust me to bring you a black suit, and it will not be the black suit which is matching the black suit's evidence, which I clearly know you have. Give me 2 days.
It's in the cleaners.
Give me 2 days and I'll bring it to you. Honest gov. It won't be repaired. Anyway. So, yes, James Mason, and the plot revolves around the writer returning to his hometown to discover his citizens are turning into vampires. Salem's Lot combines elements of both vampire films and haunted house subgenres of horror. It also stars Lance Kerwin and Bonnie Bedelia, a.k.a. Mrs. John McClane from the Die Hard movies, which was always a bit...
Yeah, come to Salem's Lot, have a few laughs.
Yeah. And, yes, a few other sort of randoms who we'll get to in a minute. There's no budget. Their budget was $4 million, but there's no box office. The only box office we have is, funny enough, in pesos in Spain, which doesn't really tell us a hell of a lot. So we'll skip that bit.
You should be our expert. Now you've been over to Spain, you can translate the actual.
I don't know what fucking pesos
score is. Well, maybe we can look up the exchange rate from around about that time.
Pesos value 1979 November.
It's Mexico. That's from Mexico, isn't it? Pesos.
Pesetas then.
Pesetas. Is it pesetas that they've got out, or is it pesos?
ESPs.
Potatoes?
ESPs.
Yeah, it's
extrasensory perceptions.
Yeah, extrasensory potatoes.
So is it a Jean Grey or a Professor X? How many of those?
It's more of a Michael Ironside, I think.
Is it? Oh, right. Yeah. Michael Ironside from Scanners, of course.
Of course.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's the equivalent to £2.50. So how many Ironsides?
How many Ironsides to the pound?
Yeah, it's like the other scale we do for Carradine. You know, in whatever.
How many cupboards? How many cupboards could hold a Carradine with an orange in his mouth?
Yeah, exactly.
Doing autoerotic asphyxiation, masturbation. I hope he's pulled his cables off.
I pulled my cable. There we are.
He's pulled his cable off.
I'm off. That's it. Good night.
Yeah, it's all gone. It's all going swimmingly over here, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell.
Trained professionals.
Yeah, top men. Top men. Anyway, so development. After Warner Brothers acquired the rights to Salem's Lot, the studio sought to turn the 400-page novel by Stephen King into a feature film, while still remaining faithful to the source material. Producer Sterling Silliphant, and screenwriter Robert Girchell and writer-director Larry Cohen all contributed screenplays, but none proved satisfactory. It was a mess, said Stephen King. Every director in Hollywood who's ever been involved with horror wanted to do it, but nobody could come up with a script. The project was eventually turned over to Warner Brothers Television, and producer Richard Kobretz decided that Salem's Lot would work better as a television miniseries than as a feature film due to the novel's length. Television writer Paul Monash was contracted to write the teleplay, having previously worked on film adaptations of the novel Carrie, and worked on series Peyton Place, which was familiar with writing about small towns. A screening of Texas Chainsaw Massacre resulted in Richard Kobretz selecting Tobe Hooper as the director. Though generally the same story, the television adaptation, this will save me waffling on and getting it wrong, takes several liberties with King's source material. Many of the characters have been combined or merely deleted, as have certain subplots. And the character of Barlow is completely different in the miniseries from how he is in the novel. However, Stephen King praised Paul Monash's screenplay and commented that Monash had succeeded in combining characters a lot, and it works. However, much of the violence and graphic scenes in the novel had to be omitted to meet broadcast restrictions. Producer Richard Kobretz, who took a strong creative interest in his films, also added several changes to Monash's script, including turning the head vampire Kurt Barlow from a cultured human-looking villain into a speechless, demonic-looking monster. Kobretz explained, "We went back to the old German Nosferatu concept, where he's the essence of evil and not anything romantic or smarmy, or, the rouge-cheeked widow-pig Dracula. I wanted nothing suave or sexual because I just didn't think it would work. We've seen too much of it. The other thing we did with the character, which I think is an improvement, is that Barlow does not speak. When he is killed at the end, he obviously emits a sound, but it's not even a full line of dialogue. In contrast to the book and the first draft of the screenplay, I thought it would be suicidal on our part to have a vampire that talks. That kind of voice you do when you put on behind a vampire. You can't do Bela Lugosi or you're going to end up with a laugh. You can't do Regan in The Exorcist or you're going to get something unintelligible. And besides, we've all been there before. That's why I think James Mason's role as Straker became more important." Other changes by Kobretz included the final confrontation with Barlow in the cellar of the Marsden house, when the book is in the basement of Eva Miller's boarding house. The concept, Kobretz felt, just doesn't work. I mean, from a point of sheer construction of well-written screenplay, he's got to reside inside the Marsden house. He's the major star of the picture, the third and fourth most important character. He's got to be there. It may have worked in the book, but it wouldn't work in the movie. Susan Death was also moved to the climax to give her death more impact and provide the film with a snap ending. Right, the reception. Salem's Lot was generally received with positive reviews. Review aggregate website Rotten Tomatoes gives it 85%, based on 13 reviews. And British film critic Mark Kermode called it very scary and one of the best screen adaptations of Stephen King novels to date. obviously that's been changed now that It has come out, and he said something different. Ellen O'Hara from Empire Magazine gave it 3 out of 5 stars. American critic Leonard Maltin called it a well-made Hellraiser. Time Out praised Hooper's fluid camera work, creepy atmospherics, and skillful handling of the gripping climax. Salem's Lot was also placed in Time Out's list of best vampire films of all time, and Sci-Fi, Horror and Fantasy Film Review called it one of the most underrated of all King's adaptations. Right, shall we get on to review this? Well, we'll try and do the plot thing and just jump in. I think, guys. I think that's probably the best way of doing it.
I think so.
Ready? Are we all ready to rock and roll on this?
I think so.
Yes.
First, just go on the table. Yes. How did we watch this? What version?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I watched it on DVD, and each disc had a different episode on it. So you had the first 90 minutes on disc 1, and then the second 90 minutes was on disc 2, because this was obviously one of the earliest DVDs known to man, because it even wanted you to flip it over for the extras.
That's from a Laserdisc, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. So yes, and the whole thing confused the shit out of me, because the first disc has a trailer for the second episode at the beginning of the first episode.
Actually, that's the original American broadcast version. It was shown over 2 nights.
Yeah.
2 parts. And the TV at that time, they used to do that sort of compressed coming in this show.
Yeah.
Trailer, which is now strikes us as really weird, because now we're used to, like, everyone's doing the NYPD Blue shaky cam previously on.
Yeah.
Which will probably look weird in 20 years' time, but there you go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing was, though, it was all showing stuff, as I later found out. Sorry, I'm scratching my toes. It's not.
I know it is.
I'm very sorry. It's got an itchy toe. I'm just saying this. This is not making good podcasting, but just telling Darren because he's looking at my feet and I'm scratching.
I'm
my
not
toes.
looking at your feet. I'm trying desperately to concentrate on other stuff at the moment. So
sorry.
La 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 la.
Theatre of the mind, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Just imagine me picking my feet. Anyway, so yeah, it confused the shit out of me because all the trailer was from episode 2. So I thought the discs had been misnumbered because it looked like, there was James Mason going, you'll meet Mr. Barlow soon enough and he will enjoy meeting you, all this sort of thing. And I'm thinking, I haven't seen that yet. Hold on. What the fuck is this? And so I actually had to sort of watch it, skip forward 10 minutes because then it starts. Just going into the plot now, but it actually starts in a church in Guatemala where a man and a boy are filling up bottles of water, and he looks at the bottle of water and the bottle of water starts to glow, and he's like, they've found us. And it's like, hold on, is this disc completely fucked? And I was getting a bit miffed. So yeah.
So the book does start, well, not exactly like that.
No,
that's. I mean, I think the book is in Mexico rather than Guatemala, but it does start with Ben Mears giving his confession, and that's kind of how you go back and get the actual story.
Yeah. But between that opening. And that opening goes on for quite a bit, and the trailer, which is showing me all of episode 2, I'm just thinking, yeah, these discs are screwed. And I literally took the thing out, put the second disc in. It didn't have a trailer. I started watching it for 5 minutes, and I'm thinking, this is midway through the bloody series. Hold on, this is part 2. So then I went back and started watching it again. I was a very confused person, I'll be honest with you. So, what about you, Jim? What version did you watch?
I've got a 2-disc set, similar to yours, but mine actually has there's the same kind of coming in this episode bit at the start of episode 2 as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
On the start of my part 2.
And do you have to flip the discs over for the extras?
I don't think there is any extras on mine, other than like poster and TV spot.
Yeah. Well, I
very basic.
Yeah. Well, I saw the same sort of thing. It does say something like, "Oh, here's a post, image gallery and trailers." And as soon as you click on them, it goes, "Please turn over the disc." And you're like, "What? Turn over the disc? Have I gone back in time to like 1998?" It's like, wow, blimey! I really have picked up an cracky old disc. What about you, Elton? What version do you watch?
The internet stalk dropped the full film off at me.
That was definitely 180 minutes, wasn't it? I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that was the same stalk that dropped it off to you, Dowd, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, actually.
Wow. What a generous stalk that stalk was. Stalky McStalkface. Right, okay. Well, so I think we're all on the same page. Just you and me, Jim, are actually switching the discs out while these two are just sitting there watching it all in one lump. So,
yeah, sounds like it, yeah.
Because I remember you saying, Elton, where you wanted to take a break on the internet.
Yeah. Well, looking at it, and I totally forgot before I actually sat down to watch this that this was going to be at least 3 hours. And got it all loaded up, ready to go. It's like, okay. Well, if I watch the whole thing now, then I'm going to be totally cream crackered for work the next day. So I'm going to have to split it. But that's fine because there are certain versions where it is split. So I thought, okay, fine. Whereabouts does it split? And just asked the group, and everyone was friendly and either saying split it right down the middle or just go for it, you loser. And ended up doing it in, I think I did just under 2 hours the first sitting, and then the last hour has been sporadic.
Okay, fair enough. Well, fair enough. Well, let's move on to the plot then. I mean, it does start off in Guatemala. We do see David Soul and Mark Petrie, played by Lance Kerwin, and they're standing there filling up bottles with holy water, and then the bottles begin to emit an eerie supernatural glow. And Mears tells Mark that they found us again, knowing that there's an evil presence. And when that happens, as soon as that happens, they look at the glow, and then the glow starts to fade, and then it just cuts to 2 years earlier. And here we are seeing Mears, a successful author, returning to Salem's Lot and starting off in, well, like I say, feel free to jump in whenever you like, but it's quite clear that he's nuts. He's not right, is he, old David Soul?
No, he's not. He's not right in the head at all. And now he has his little glowy blue bottles of stuff.
Well, this is before he has glowy blue bottles. He's
what Stalker Soul?
Yeah, well, he turns up at the door of James Mason, just looking through the window.
Yeah.
And looking up at the building.
And then he wonders why James Mason's a bit sort of like,
what the fuck are you doing on my drive?
He's like, dude, why are you looking in my windows?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Who the fuck are you?
Don't make me get a restraining order out in your ass.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Now off to the Nautilus.
Now, if anybody wants me, I'll be there playing Captain Nemo. I'll be there.
Was he Sherlock Holmes as well?
Who? James Mason?
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. I can't remember what he's been playing. I think he's been in everything.
So. He'll have maybe been in a Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, hold on. He's been. Let's have a look. Let's have a look through his stuff. He's been in. Well, he's. No, he's not. I'm looking at lots. He's been the prisoner of Zenda.
Dr. Watson in Murder by Decree, a Sherlock Holmes movie.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there you go. And he was Prince Valiant, and he was Captain Nemo, and he was lots of people who have Sir and Captain and Professor. But I'm not seeing anything else.
It's very pigeonholed, isn't he?
Yes, I think he's been Emperor Franz Joseph.
Ulysses, I see.
Yes, there's a couple of
5 fingers.
Yes, he's been Joseph of Arimathea. And there's lots of ones where he's called narrator as well.
Napoleon.
Yes, yes, Isaac of York. Ivanhoe. Oh dear, he's been all sorts of things. Then it just suddenly stops at around about 1985, where I suspect that he may have died. Actually, no, he died in 1984. He's quite talented.
Quite the two-pack.
Quite the two-pack. Two-pack James Mason will be coming back as a hologram soon. He's releasing 4 albums, and he's also got a rap tour. James Mason's rap tour.
And if I have any back chat from you, I'll be putting a cap in your ass.
Yes, I'll be slapping you upside your head, you hear?
Straight out of Mason.
Yes, I'll fill you full of Mason jars.
Straight out of Salem, crazy motherfucker called Mason.
Yes, in my black suit. Anyway, so Mears turns up at this house and just stares at it, and he sort of spots James Mason coming out of this house, looking very like, yes, I've just turned up and I'm going off to be a part of the British government because I've just been to this rather dodgy house on Elm Street, and don't say anything to Cliff Richard either. I'm off. And he looks very shifty, and you see him sort of walk out, and Mears basically goes to the nearest estate agents, where we see I can't remember his name, but he turns up in every improv comedy show ever.
He was on the Anchorman as who put a question mark on a teleprompter?
Oh yes, that's it. Yeah, and the estate agent is having an affair with Hoolie Hot Pants or Bonnie Hot Pants. What do they call her?
I can't remember.
Boom Boom Bonnie. That's it.
Boom Boom Bonnie.
Boom Boom Bonnie. Yes.
Hoolie Hot Pants.
Hoolie Hot Pants. I don't know. Is that? I think that was MASH, wasn't it?
Hot Lips.
Hot Lips, Hoolie Hands.
Hot Lips, Houlihan.
That's it. And so Boom Boom Bonnie, he's having an affair with Boom Boom Bonnie, who in turn is living with some another sort of, you've seen him on everything, TV actor.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I think this is like sort of the greatest hits of Columbo's guest appearances, isn't it? Because everyone in this,
is, yeah.
I keep feeling like I've watched them on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Columbo is the American Bill. Every American actor has been in Columbo at some point, the same way as every British actor at some point has been in the Bill.
Exactly, yeah. As we found out when we did American Werewolf all those years ago. But anyway, so yes. So Mears reveals that he intends to write a book about Marsden House, and he decides he wants to live in the Marsden House, and the estate agent tells him that it's already taken and directs him towards a guest house where he will stand, and we will repeatedly see him just sitting there and with a typewriter, and then he goes, click. Oh, bollocks, and wraps it up on the piece of the paper, and he goes, click, oh, fuck. I mean, he really literally only types like a single letter, and then it's just like, and every time you see him, there's just like more and more balls of paper. But anyway.
He's staring out of the house a lot of the time.
And he is staring out of the house a lot of the time. In the meantime, it's revealed that Straker, that's James Mason, who we will continue to refer to purely so that we can do his voice.
Straker. I thought it was Striker. Every time I heard that, I was thinking of Aeroplane.
Striker.
Honestly, I thought it was Striker.
No, it's Straker.
Straker.
And he's in the process of opening an antiques shop with his absent business partner Kurt Barlow.
Ken Barlow.
I was thinking that as well. Deirdre Barlow turns up, and anyway, there's people in America going, "Who the fuck are you talking about?" But anyway, so he moves into the boarding house, which is run by Eva Miller, and he develops a romantic relationship with the local woman, Susan Norton, played by Bonnie Bedelia. Now, how did we feel about this relationship and how it struck up? Because it appeared to me that David Soul turned up, stood by a tree, questioned this woman on the book that she's just started reading, and then said, "Come out for dinner."
Yeah, that was that's the age-old trick, isn't it? You know, I'm an author. I'm coming here to look for some excitement, and there's a young lady under a tree reading one of my books. I'll take advantage of that.
I was going to say. Go on, Jim.
Well, for me, I mean, this is one of those things where you've got that terrible telescoping that screen adaptations do to books. I think the character of Susan is very poorly served by this by this version.
Yes,
but also considering the sort of the era it was made, this is also playing into the "Hi, I'm the male lead. You're the female lead. Let's go on a date. Job done."
Hey, I'm TV's David Soul. I was in Starsky and Hutch, don't you know?
I was in Cockleshell Heroes.
But I'm James Mason, and I was in Captain Nemo, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah, because that's the same problem that happens in John Carpenter's The Fog, where the lead turns up, picks up Jamie Lee Curtis in the car as a hitchhiker, and the very next scene, after the windows all smash, you just see they're in bed.
Yeah,
It's like, what the fuck? Where do we? How? What?
It is rather rapid. I'm surprised he didn't use the technique of lifting up the book to his face, obscuring his face, and his face would have been on the cover, and then slowly dropping it down and going, "I write books, you know."
Yes. You may recognize me from this book cover.
And the book cover's just got a picture of him holding a book.
Book up to his face. So within a matter of minutes, Bonnie Bedelia's making all sorts of comments, and she's all about, "Oh, I'm an artist and I'm a teacher, and I'm just going to drop my entire plot line right in front of you. Look, I'm a teacher, I draw, I've read your book, but I haven't really, because I'm just saying that because I fancy you, apparently. And, oh, here's my ex-boyfriend, he's over there, he's really jealous. Oh, and now come and meet my parents." All in the space of about 15 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, she falls for him pretty rapidly, doesn't she?
Yeah, just a little. And yeah, so Susan Norton, and he befriends her father, who again seems fairly cool with what's just going on. That this guy has just randomly turned up. Oh, you're
Well, the thing is, in the book, there is a bit more of a reason for that. It's because her other boyfriend, who in the book is called Floyd Tibbets, is a deadbeat, going nowhere ass, local town asshole. And her father's kind of, a man with prospects, brilliant.
Yeah. Well, there is that, obviously. Because Floyd Tibbets does turn up in this, but he is literally only in it for about 20 seconds, really, in terms of what he brings to the plot and what eventually happens to him. So basically we get a moment of her confronting Floyd Tibbets while David Soul furtively hangs around a tree. He seems to do that a lot as well. There's only like about 1.5 feet between David Soul and a tree for him to hide behind or rest against or kind of look like he's doing an album cover of greatest hits. You know, that sort of like, you know, tie a yellow ribbon under the old oak tree starring David Soul, and there's him in a sort of suede coat leaning against a tree in dappled sunlight.
Well, like this was the period you'd have some hit records, so that's what they are playing to his audience.
Baby.
Yeah.
You make... Do you know, in Little Britain, they had a sketch in that where they had these parents who had a child in a coma and they were using the child to get in famous people. And one of them was David Soul. Appeared on the programme just so they could get their autograph.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
pretty terrible sort of motive, you know. But Davey Williams, don't give up on us, baby. Don't make the one seem right. And Silver Lady as well.
Silver Lady,
honey, I'm a million miles from home. See, I know all the hits.
Yeah,
I'm down with the kids.
Yeah, of 1979. Anyway, so yeah, after we get like Susan's plot drop.
Yep.
And
mic drop.
Yeah, and Bill Norton, her father is befriended by by David Soul's Roy Mears. Ray Mears? Ben Mears. Fucking Ray Mears. That's why he's so near a forest all the time. Yeah, he just wants to go off into the fucking forest. Yeah, so then what happens is...
Ray Mears, Salem's Lot.
Yeah, exactly. Ray Mears, Salem's Lot. Now, survive, adapt. Yeah. He'd be
whittling little stakes out as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly, out of toothpicks.
And drinking out of crisp bags left in bushes.
Converting his urine into holy water.
Yeah, that's right. Leaving palm mags that he's found in a local bush and just leaving them to dry in the sun and then whittling them into stakes. This is a copy of Knave. This'll hold. This'll do it.
Yeah.
It's a papier-mâché version of Reader's Wives. That's got a good spine to it. We can use that if we let it dry in the sun. Anyway, and
what do they call those when you roll up? And there's a name for getting a magazine and rolling it up really tightly. It's used by football hooligans. I think it's called a Chelsea dagger or something. And you use it to hit people with the end of it, not like like a roll up newspaper job. You just hit it with the hard bit at the end.
Yeah,
like that. Right.
Otherwise known as the Ash blowjob death maneuver from Alien.
That one.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, this review's gone all over the fucking shop. This is gone. Anyway, so then, for reasons that don't seem to make much sense, Ben appears in the audience of a school play doing the the War of Independence.
Yes.
And at first you think, what the hell's going on here? And then you realise that he's there to meet up with his old school teacher. For reasons that don't seem to be apparent. I mean, I know in the book it does explain it because his teacher is kind of like a mentor to him and all this kind of thing. But in the film, it's kind of like he's just sitting in an audience and then he just goes, "Hello, teach. You remember me?" And then
Get away from me! Don't kill me!
Yeah. What? Who are you? Don't hurt me!
Take my wallet.
And yeah, so it's the teacher Jason Burke, played by Lou Ayres, and he's another one of those kind of like I've seen him in about 1,000 westerns, and about 1.5 million things, but he's Battlestar Galactica. That was it. He was one of the Council of the 12 in Battlestar Galactica as well, and so it was at this point he confesses. After a little bit of time, Ben Mears, not Ray Mears again. Ben Mears confesses that he's doing a thing on the book because he thinks doing a book on the house because he believes the house to be inherently evil. Evil in the bricks, in the bones and the structure of the house.
Yes,
and. At this point, I confess, I loved the book, but I confess that in this film, it just seems to come out of nowhere. It does seem to be for a thing that's got a languid running time of 3 hours.
Oh God!
He is literally just saying, "Oh, here's all my plot points," really quickly to people who are just being dotted throughout the plot.
Yeah.
Is anyone else getting that feel? Or
I got that, but I have to admit I really struggled with this.
Yeah, I have to say that as well.
And it was on, but it didn't really speak to me. There was not a lot going on, really, was there? Yeah, I can see it dropping plot points, but it was so clunky that it just felt awkward to actually get into it.
Okay, cool. Because I thought I was all on my own with this, because I thought, I'm looking at it, I'm just watching literally all the characters just turn up and go, hello, I'm a writer, I don't like this house, I think it's scary. And then there's James Mason going, yes, don't worry, Mr. Barlow will be along shortly.
He certainly will.
He will.
Yes, you get what you deserved.
Would that be a faithful adaptation of the book as the way that he's written it, or is that just for TV sakes?
It's partly the grammar of TV at the time.
Yeah.
You see, this was showed, it was made in 2 parts, and structurally, it is paced to work in 2 90-minute sections. And so it builds up slowly to the end of part 1, and then part 2, you're watching on a different evening, so it starts again from scratch.
Yeah.
Which, if you watch it in a big block, that doesn't work.
No, that's right.
At all.
And but you know, what I will say is, you know, watching it in 2 parts and watching it over a couple of evenings, you can imagine that actually that would be quite a good way of doing it, because you get to sort of meet everyone in the first part, and then you kind of wonder where it's all going, and then it kind of ends. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
I think actually, could put the writing. I mean, in the book, when King wrote it, his first book, Carrie, and other novels he'd written had been focused on just a handful of characters. And one of the things he wanted, one of the goals in writing Salem's Lot, was to write a big novel with a huge cast of characters and bring a town to life. And in the first half, when probably the first quarter of the book, you're actually going around and meeting a lot of these characters and seeing what they do in the town and how they fit in. And you're discovering kind of this quiet little town. There's actually some dark shit going on. The estate agent's crooked. There's, people have secret vices. And it's just kind of, there's latent evil just waiting to be tapped.
Yeah. It's
the town's also stagnating as well. It's kind of, it's perfect. It's a perfect victim for an evil force to move into.
Yeah.
Right.
And it builds up the atmosphere. Yeah. Here, unfortunately, you get everything just crushed down.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's one of those things, these days, it's kind of, if you're going to adapt a novel, people go, yeah, you can have 10 hours and a whole series on HBO, a full hour as well, no adverts. Kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas this has a lot of the that kind of telescoping effect, but also it's very bound to the grammar of how you did TV back then as well. In one hand, kind of these sort of BT plot points. That is kind of, if you watch things from the 60s and 70s, one of the things I sort of quite like in some cases is the fact that they just get on with it. These two, the romantic leads, look, they're together, done. We're not wasting time having them date. You get it. Likewise, you get the end. The house burns down. The end. We're out of here. There's no 10 minutes reflection and setting up a sequel. It's just, monster dead. Bad guy in jail, right? Roll credits. The end. Done. Yeah. Get out.
Yeah. Yeah. Go on. Sorry, Gary.
But yeah, so I think kind of there's kind of a lot kind of in this sort of first half that doesn't pay off in the second. If you're watching it as one block,
no,
but it was never meant to pay off in the second. It's just it's just building up to the end of part 1, and then that's sort of done. In the book, the whole business with the affair and Bonnie, that does have a payoff because the character is a different actual character in the book who's having the affair and gets caught, and he's one of Mr. Barlow's first victims, and so he goes back and gets his revenge as a vampire. He's got right. Threaten me with a shotgun now, fatty.
Yeah.
Don't like the away game so much, do you?
Yeah. Exactly.
And in the book, you have a lot of this is where Barlow actually goes round and he gets to these people who've been wronged or have have an axe to grind against their neighbours, and he turns them first.
It's a trick that Stephen King would play again in another book of his called Needful Things, which got parodied in Rick and Morty.
Yes.
But the idea of it, you build up a town full of secrets, and then you do it to the point where it's built up to a degree where you're kind of like, you understand all the dramas and the seething hatreds and jealousies and pettiness. And then what you do is you put, well, in the case of Needful Things, you put the devil in there, giving out props that allow, that cursed monkey paw kind of elements that basically cause everything to go into, like, explode. And in the case of Salem's Lot, obviously, as Jim just said, you find that all these pettinesses come back as, as wronged vampires who now feel like they can actually do some shit about what they, previously were just sort of holding in. And, But anyway, back to the story. So anyway, a large crate is delivered, and basically to get the Bonnie's husband out of town, the estate agent arranges for him to go and pick up this crate for Mr. Straker and Mr. Barlow, and gets Susan's boyfriend and the local I don't know, how would you call the guy, was it the guy
George, isn't it?
Yeah, George, who lives in the cemetery. Mike Ryerson.
It's Mike Ryerson.
That's it, Mike Ryerson.
The gravedigger and sort of town handyman.
Yeah, played by Jeffrey Lewis, who you will definitely recognise from about 10 trillion things, because he has been in absolutely everything, and he's got a look that looks like a very startled hush puppy. It's got that face. It's kind of like slightly jowly kind of thing, and so basically Mike Ryerson and it's oh God! Yeah, he goes off with the husband. No, the husband stays behind, and he goes off with Susan's ex-boyfriend to get this crate from the docks. And on the way back, they're told not to touch the crate, but then the crate starts moving in the back of the lorry.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, I wonder what's in there. Oh, it's a sideboard. Yeah, because sideboards move inside boxes.
Moves inside boxes.
Is it a living sideboard? Is that what it is?
Exactly. But it's also like
fucking art installation. That's what it is.
Yeah, if there's something that weighs like several tons and is moving about of its own volition in the back of your lorry, would the first thing that comes to mind is, I know, let's open it up and have a look inside? No, fuck off.
Just like fucking cover it in petrol and kill it with fire. That's what you want to do.
Bury it underground and hope that it can't dig its way out. So, yeah, so they basically do this. And in the meantime, Mark Petrie, the boy who was doing his independence thing, he's been basically berated by his parents for liking horror films and horrors and monsters and creatures and all this kind of thing. And he's doing his Declaration of Independence thing. And then we get a scene which, if you've seen Stranger Things, you go, yeah, that's where you nicked it from. Right there. Right there, you bastards. Nicked that. You nicked that. Where his two friends, Danny Glick and
Ralphie
Glick, yeah, basically go home from Mark Petrie's house, go through the forest, split up in exactly the same way as they do in Stranger Things, and exactly the same way as Stranger Things. Suddenly, the boy is obscured by a dark shadow that just rises up out of the shot. And everyone goes, "Da-da!" and I just thought, any second now, that Stranger Things logo is going to come up now, isn't it? It's going to dobba 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 dobba. And And then
it's one of them moments where you're supposed to be terrified. That's what I got from it. It's an old cliche moment where this is the bit where you're supposed to be shitting your pants.
Yeah. Well, I suppose. Do we want to jump ahead and ask you about your potato rating?
I think we should. We need to get it in there sometime.
Yeah. Go on.
We might forget later.
Yeah, maybe. Go on.
What, for the whole thing or just for this moment here?
Well, what do you think, Jim?
We normally go blow by blow and have a running potato commentary.
Yeah, running potato commentary. So where are we on the potatoes in the forest?
No potatoes.
No potatoes. Nil point on the potatoes. Right, okay. We're on nil point potatoes. So, anyway, so after... Danny Glick, Ralphie Glick. After he's vanished, and suddenly you see old James Mason comes down into the house.
Hello.
Comes down into the house, and in the house he has a plastic bag, and there is Ralphie Glick in the bag.
It's actually he works for Avon. He goes around going, would you like some makeup? Ding dong, Avon calling.
Or would you like a dead child? I have a dead child.
Yes, Avon are doing dead children.
Yes, I can do you some makeup or a dead child.
I can't eat a whole one myself.
Yes, what would you like? And he lays the body of Ralphie Glick on the table. And then we kind of move on to sort of like, oh no, what's happened to Ralphie Glick?
You're missing one of the nicest moments in this.
Go on.
Where Straker comes into the cellar and you can just see the remains of that crate.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it has just been exploded.
Yeah, the crate has been blown apart. Absolutely, completely detonated. Yeah, it did look like I tried to put up an IKEA shelf. It's that bad. He's all over the place.
In the corner with PVA glue in his ass.
Yeah, going up, start myself to the wall. And so we now know that whatever was in that crate is now loose throughout Salem's Lot. And it's coming back. Now, I'm going to ask you a question here, because the thing is, when the crate goes down into the basement, one of the things that everyone's supposed to do is put some I'm trying to remember all their names. Mike Ryerson and Fred, what's his name, are supposed to have locked the doors on the basement and leave the keys downstairs, but they don't. They throw the keys down the stairs and with the box, freak out, and then run away. And you get this sense just when James Mason turns up that he's actually quite scared. Or am I reading too much into it? Because when he looks down into the cellar where the box has been blown apart, you suddenly think, well, actually that cellar door should have been shut and bolted. And I think
it's more trepidation as to, okay, what am I walking into? Because this isn't how I asked this scene to be left.
Which is fair enough, except for the fact that his mate is a vampire overlord. So what really have you got to worry about?
Well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? you may be mates with him, but you just never know. You just,
and I definitely had the tendency to kind of like, oh, Mr. Barlow's up.
Yeah,
I brought him his tea. He seems to have gone out.
Oh, bollocks.
I wonder if he might be a bit cross.
Yeah, it was definitely that sort of Renfeld moment, isn't it? Master, don't leave me. You have failed me, Renfeld. And then just kind of wandering off. But yes, so he goes past this blown up box and the vampire's out and running, and that's when we see the estate agent. The estate agent in bed with Boom Boom Bonnie, and then Bonnie's husband comes back and then does this whole threatening thing with a shotgun.
This is one of my favourite scenes.
Yeah, go on in.
This really is. Well, he as soon as he's caught, or as soon as they're both caught, they both try and blame each other straight away, don't they? Whereas, he forced himself upon me. Well, no, she enticed me into the bed.
Yeah,
and
no order among us.
Still not too. He's still not too sure whether the husband or boyfriend knows what's going on, or is he so hinged that he just doesn't know quite what to do with this situation. And so the only thing he can do is get his gun out and start pointing it at some dude's face until he shats his pants. Oh, nice shorts, by the way.
Nice shorts.
He asks him about his shorts, doesn't he? It's like, okay, you're not quite in your situation, really, are you? You may have the gun, but nobody's really in charge here.
No. And so estate agent Blokey goes running out, and here comes another scare, but this is a Mr. Barlow scare now. And so bloke runs out in his shorts after being threatened with a shotgun by the jilted husband. And you suddenly see this hand come up, all claws, and the music goes, wee! And that's the end of your estate agent. Where are we on the potato scale, Elton?
On
5
that,
or 6.
For me, that's still a 0. There is still no potatoes on my plate. It was just too telegraphed, and the way that the hand shoots up, it's okay, George, now put your hand up, and it kind of flusters up there in front of his face. It looks like it's supposed to go right in front of his face, but it doesn't. It nearly pokes his eye out. And to cover that up, the camera zooms into the darkness of the hand, and it's all just a bit of a mess.
Yeah, this is one of the. Thank goodness you said that, because this is one of those moments where I sat there and I thought, I remember being scared of that bit, but now I'm looking at someone moving a still frame of the last shot towards the camera very slowly to make it look like something's happening, but we stopped filming 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. 79, yes, I could get that it would be a bit scary. And imagine that in a drive-through. That would be really good.
Well, 1979, I was fucking 8. Can you imagine watching this when you're 8? So...
Yeah, I can imagine how... because that bit where coming out of the mist, the boy, that was...
Well, that's the next bit, isn't it?
Yeah, that's creepy.
That is still quite creepy, yeah.
With its hand scare, though, that's become one of the great horror cliches, though.
Can I just...
Much like the shape in the forest with Ralphie Glick, it has been ripped off by nearly everything ever since.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's...
how did you find...
It's one of those unfortunate things, I think, with the Devil's horror movies in particular, that if someone could come up with a really good move, that, if you're watching something, the original, you'll have seen it done 50 times by other things in the years in between.
Exactly, yeah. Sorry, Dal, what were you going to say?
What was the name of the guy that dug the graves?
Mike Ryerson.
It's later on. Oh, sorry, yeah, no, that comes after.
Yeah. That's coming soon.
He's. All right, we'll talk about it in a minute, because it's to do with the way he looks.
Yeah.
After that. Okay. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Cool. Well, basically, now shit's starting to go down. So the estate agent's gone down in the least scary hand wave ever committed to TV. And then what happens is we cut to Danny Glick. Danny is came out of the forest after losing his brother and just collapsed and is lying in bed. As he does this, smoke starts to fill up outside the window.
Yeah.
And then his brother, Ralphie, comes and starts tapping at the window.
They really need to cut that bit down. because you spend 5 minutes going backwards between his face and the window, and it's just like mist. And it's like, well, is something going to happen in a minute? It's a little bit too long, you know?
Kind of overused, isn't it?
Yeah.
But again, you know, I mean, I don't know about you, Jim, but it's one of those things where, again, I kind of feel like, you know, I think we've seen this one so often and this gag done since that this scene is really scary. I thought it was really well done, but you do sit there after a while going, I've seen this before now, and I think I'm a bit over familiar with it.
Yeah, we can remember what in '79, for most people watching this, there's several important points. They didn't know who Stephen King was.
No.
They didn't know what Salem's Lot was about.
No.
And they've not had 20 years of substandard vampires poncing around doing crap wire work.
Yeah.
But, you know, you had, I think, you know, when this was first on, you had no idea. No one had seen sort of vampires like hovering outside windows sort of like that before. And it was probably genuinely, well, I do remember seeing it. It was genuinely completely unexpected. You know what I mean? It's kind of like...
Yeah, well, that's that. This was definitely the scene I was looking forward to seeing again. But I have to say I do agree with the fact that, you know, it did feel like it went on a little too long. You kind of in your mind you got it going like for less than a second or 2 seconds or something like that. But then it was like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and now it's like, not as scary now, but I still appreciated the shot. I thought it was really effective, especially with the smoke going backwards.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
it's one of the little touches makes it. You can't quite pick up at first. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This like nature's been violated somehow. It takes you a while before you realise, oh, he's running the smoke backward. It just gives you that unreality, that dreamlike feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Something's really off here. I mean, where are we on the potato scale once Ralphie Glick appears, Elton?
Okay, to be honest, I liked the effect on this. I thought it was very well done. I liked the way that he appears through the smoke as well. But I like the idea of it, but the way that it's I don't know. It didn't scare me at all. I think if I was a 10-year-old watching this, or maybe a bit younger, then yeah, that would scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But as an adult now, it's just a kid dangling out a window, isn't it? And it's just it doesn't have that impact that it should have on me. I see you guys have said you've had 20 years of mediocre films building up to this. That's the problem. Even though I don't really recognise that from any other films. I've probably seen it in other films that they've used it in.
The whole of The Lost Boys is essentially based on that scene.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, fair play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's just... It didn't have the impacts that once I'd watched it and thought about it, it didn't have the impact that I hoped it would have.
Yeah.
Now, I've never seen this, so it feels very watered down. But I think that's just years and other schlock films that have come in between that.
Yeah, well, it's quite possible because that's one of the things I was getting the sense of.
Do you know another problem I really have? I think I've said this before. It's fucking vampire movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this now. Fucking vampire movies. I'm not being funny. I wouldn't mind being a vampire. They've got a fucking easy life, haven't they? They have eternal life.
Yes.
They get to wear awesome cloaks if they want to. They can wear whatever type of clothing they want. They get to meet hot chicks and hot dude vampires. Right. They get to hang around with their mates. They go out at night. I don't really like the day. So I can't see a downside to actually being a vampire.
Well, there is that, I guess.
And when you have that feeling, then you lose all the scares. It just doesn't. It doesn't worry me at all. Okay, well, I'm turned into a vampire. Brilliant. What am I doing tomorrow night? Going out. Lovely.
Yeah. Has anybody seen Stu? Is Stu around? Yeah. Peter, we're going out. Just give you the chicken. There you go, Peter. Oh dear.
Bones down here. Could you do a little clean up?
Yes, a little. Just tidying a little bit. So many bones. So yeah, I get it. I know exactly what you mean.
But that's kind of why vampires are popular, perennially popular.
Yeah.
Because they are the monster people would like to be. And a lot of vampire fiction plays explicitly to that. What you don't get so much is actually it's like a lot of things. Things sound good on paper, but the reality is the first thing you do as a vampire is go and kill and eat your loved ones, which maybe people aren't so keen on.
Yeah, could put a dampener on your day, I'll be honest with you. It might make things a little bit difficult at the Christmas dinner. But yeah. But okay, well I mean so yeah, we get Ralphie Glick turns up, and he over the course of a couple of nights he basically drains his brother and sort of floats in through the window and drains his brother. Now, all of this to me is fairly okay. I mean, not scary, not as scary as I thought, and nostalgia is really sort of wearing off.
This is the whole thing about roasting his specs.
It is the thing about roasting his specs. It's really coming off. They really aren't. I'm looking at it and I'm appreciating it, thinking, back in the 70s, this was really scary. Back in the 70s, this was really scary.
But now I've watched what we do in the shadows and it's just like, this is just funny.
Yeah, exactly. But eventually, Danny Glick ends up in hospital and given the final bite by his brother, only to be found by a nurse who dramatically drops a tray of metallic things, because that's what nurses do when they see dead people in a hospital.
Yeah, because they're never prepared for it. It's
never prepared for a dead person in a hospital.
Not at all.
Never.
Because that just don't happen.
No. It's like, oh, fuck, he's dead. He's in the hospital.
You don't see that every day, do you?
No. And so Danny Glick gets sort of buried. And this is essentially his burial is twofold here, because it's like, firstly, it's the end of part one, but secondly, it introduces us to a lot more Danny Glick, who is quite possibly the worst actor I have ever seen. I understand he's a child, but
he's shit.
But he is shit.
Yeah, he is just a bit.
Especially when he turns up in part two for Mark Petrie. The master, he demands it. It's like, just dial it back a bit, kid.
Yeah, just reel it in.
Just take a deep breath. You're not a RADA now.
I love that bit where the guy is standing over the grave and he's shoveling the stuff in on top of the grave, and then he just stands over the top of the open hole. And you kind of stay. He looks like a bungee jumper, not willing to actually jump.
Yes.
It's kind of, is he going to? Oh, no, he's not going to just yet. And I was confused as to what he was actually going to do. I liked it because I didn't know what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden he just jumps down there and starts wiping stuff off and opening up the coffin.
Yeah.
And I can dig that. I thought I quite like that, but it just caught me off guard as, is he going to jump? No. Is he going to jump now? No. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, this is Jeffrey Lewis's Mike Ryerson again, who dives down into the hole, and he opens up the coffin to reveal Danny Glick, who quite possibly couldn't look any more vampiric if he had a widow's peak and a purple cape. At this point, when he opens it up, he's just like, he's slate grey, he's got these bright white eyes, and he's literally laying there in the coffin. It's like, there is that is oh shit 101.
Is that after we see the gravedigger?
That is the gravedigger I'm talking about.
The thing with him is, it's when you see him in the chair later on, and it is the eyes. Then I think he's the one that uses that or has the best effect with that makeup. There's something about his face. I'm not sure what it is, but it's just sat stock still. Yeah, there in a chair, just looking.
Yeah, look at me, teacher. Yeah. So Danny Glick sits up from the coffin, bites Mike Ryerson on the neck. End of part 1. I suddenly go, well, time to make a cup of tea.
Yeah,
but we've hit halfway, and how do we all feel at this point?
Well, I was feeling quite numb because I fell asleep before that and had to rewatch. I had to watch. I think it was for half an hour. I'm sorry, it did it to me like that. I
can literally hear the whole audience going, no.
Yeah. I don't think watching this in one go was a really good idea. Not for me, anyway. It's just, I don't know. They say, like, in life you should break your problems down into little pieces. You need to do that with Salem's Lot as well.
Okay. What about you, Jim, at this point?
Well, I originally planned to do one half one night, then do the other half the next night. But as it was, I thought, no, I want to go to part 2 now. We're just getting going.
Yeah, that's right.
But I do like that end scene. Just that kind of... It does a good job of getting what's in the book, because in the book you're getting like Mike's internal dialogue while he's digging Danny Glick's grave and the sun's setting, and he keeps having this feeling that the kid's eyes are open in the coffin and he's being looked at.
Yeah,
you really get that kind of idea that the vampire is slowly saying, "Yeah, come on."
Yeah, kind of luring him in.
I want my first meal. Come on.
Exactly. But that's...
And they do it, I think, they get that pretty well without cheesy voiceovers.
Yeah.
And I think it is a good reveal of him just with the glowing eyes in the coffin.
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily, later on, they sort of do the whole thing of, as soon as you're looking in the eyes, you've been had. But you don't realise that at that point. And that's the thing. So when you're watching it, like I say, I'm sitting here with dull memory. It's sort of like, last time I saw this, I was, 10, 11 or whatever it was. And sitting there going, well, why the fuck hasn't he just climbed out? I mean, I would have been out of that fucking grave so quickly, because I would literally have been riding on a pile of shit. I would just literally shat myself out of that hole. Yeah. If there was a grave with a kid with his eyes open and bright yellow eyes at that. So, yeah, luckily they do kind of address that later on, but that at that initial point, you're sitting there going, get out of the fucking grave, you idiot.
Run now, climb, run. Yeah. Run away. Yeah.
What about you, Elton? What are you thinking at this point?
I'm thinking it's been a bit of a slog getting to this point. There's moments I enjoyed. I've started to enjoy it again, but it's taken a while to get here.
Yeah.
But it's looking promising from this point on.
Okie dokie. Cool. Right. Well, let's move on then. So the next half is fairly straightforward, and there isn't an awful lot to really deal with at this point, because then what happens is the vampirism is spreading throughout Salem's Lot, and it's happening pretty quickly. We've got, sort of you go to sort of Mike Petrie and you see Danny Glick, the world's worst sinister vampire, hanging outside the window, pulling the same trick outside the window.
Yep.
But because Mark Petrie, is into his monsters and everything, he knows not to look and basically gets a toy cross and shows it to Danny and basically tells him to fuck off. Which I would have done anyway, because he was a bloody awful actor, and he was clearly sitting on a stool, because the smoke was going around the stool under his arse. You could see it. The smoke was actually stopping at a column just under his butt. But anyway, I digress. So, yeah, Danny repels him with a cross, and it's at this point, suddenly, for reason that I don't quite understand, or maybe I missed it, and maybe you can help me here, Jim, but suddenly, Mears is having dinner with Burke, his teacher, and in comes, what was it, Mike Ryerson. Mm-hmm. He sits down and he's kind of all drunk and a bit kind of woozy, and it takes them about 10 minutes from that point on when Burke says, Mike, you seem sick, come back to my house, which is a weird thing anyway, but come back to my house, sit down, have a sleep, feel okay. It goes from that to suddenly both Ben Mears and Burke being utterly convinced that he's a vampire. At what point does Ben twig that everyone's turning into vampires? This is the bit I don't quite get, because I watched that and I watched it all in one sitting effectively, and I couldn't see the point at which Ben goes, that he's a vampire because I have seen this, and they are a vampire because I have seen that. He just suddenly just assumes they're all vampires.
Are his eyes too close together? Yep, he's a vampire.
Well, exactly. He is a bit like that. But I mean, you understand with Burke, because he's Ryerson dies in his house, and 5 minutes later Ryerson is back in the house, sitting in the rocking chair, scaring the shit out of the old man. And
with his big eyes.
With his big eyes and his saggy, jowly face.
Mm-hmm.
And his rocking chair. But even then, Burke is reading up about vampires. Everyone suddenly goes from nothing to, it's vampires. And I don't quite know where.
There is a scene where the shop has opened.
Yes.
And doesn't he come in and he asks him about the house, and that's where you get the, he'll enjoy you and you'll enjoy him type, type speech. But that's where I thought that key scene was, where it's finally twigged.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't get where. But that's that's just implied. There's nothing where they turn around.
So in the book, if I remember, it's a while since I've read it, but I think there's kind of a scene around this where Ben and Matt discuss what's going on, and notice as this kind of Ralphie Glick goes and Danny Glick goes, and this, there seems to be this sort of contagion spreading. And that's what sort of start. But it's only really after Mike turns up at Matt's house that's the penny drop for it's vampires.
Yeah.
Is it a TV thing where the viewer has already seen a vampire, so we know there's vampires there? So
I think it is in the case. I mean, in the book, it is kind of.
Yeah, I know that in the book it's a bit more organic, because I know that, isn't it? Doesn't it?
I think in this it's kind of, we're not going to waste your time because it's vampires.
Yeah, and that because in the book I think Ben see one. I think he just sees one, and he sees someone who was previously dead and now walking back around, and he kind of twigs it from there. But God, I really wish I've got the book back on my my Christmas list, because I need to get another copy of it and read it again, because I love that book, but I can't remember it. Right. So anyway, for reasons that probably don't make a hell of a lot of sense, the Ben suddenly gets Susan's father, the doctor, and Burke, and they all go into the house and say, "We've got something to tell you, Doctor. You're not going to believe this." And the doctor goes, "Well, you can tell me whatever you like." And then we just cut away, and we have no idea what conversation happens. Absolutely none.
There are a couple of scenes like that. There's a bit where Ben gets beaten up as well, where all of a sudden a guy just jumps out of his cupboard.
It's Kato from the Pink Panther. He's trained him to jump out at any specific time, just in case there's a vampire attack.
It's as if you forgot to explain or to show the guy hiding away, so you kind of expected it instead of have it come out of left field like that.
Yeah.
Well, this is where the this adaptation fumbles, because kind of it's Susan's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
But in the book, he's already been got at by the vampires, and he's been used effectively as like kind of a cat's paw, as he's been fed on, but he's not been fully turned at this point, and he's just sort of feeling sick and fluey like everybody else is, who's had a visit the night before. But he's sort of got, Barlow's sort of impelled him, going, "Go beat the shit out of that smart ass writer who's sniffing around, getting too close.
That's
Go
right.
beat the living crap out of him and take him off the board."
Yeah, he's like a familiar, isn't he? That's what he's.
Yeah, effectively.
And it kind of hints forward to the nature of Straker as well, because Straker's obviously been in Barlow's thrall for a lot longer.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, yeah. So we suddenly have no proof of vampires, but suddenly proof of vampires. Everyone goes, "It's vampires." What is it? The toilet's blocked as vampires. It becomes like
vampires.
It becomes like a sort of 1979 equivalent of Brexit. Oh shit, my tea's cold. Brexit. Oh fuck it. My bus is late. Brexit.
Drop me ice cream on the floor.
On the flip side, though, it makes a change. You don't have everyone doing the fucking Dana Scully routine.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I did just see an alien, stick its hand up my arse, but Mulder, we can't be sure it's alien.
That is very true. Yeah, that is. Yeah, very welcome. The fact that everyone just accepts it and gets on with it is actually a breath of fresh air compared to, "Well, you're telling me it's vampires? What, you taking the piss?" And then it's like the vampires literally floating outside the window, going, "Hello, hello, see me." So yeah. So I suppose on that respect, it's actually, he's a breath of fresh air. And right, then basically, as the vampirism spreads and Dr. Norton, Burke and Mears realise what's going on in the town, they attempt to stop it. And Mears is attacked by Ralph and Ralph Glick and Danny's mother, who's now been sort of changed, and she's in the morgue, which leads to a very funny scene where he's just sitting there trying to make a cross out of lolly sticks as she sits up, and the doctor's just gone outside, and he's like doctor, help me, bloody help me. And she slowly sits up and sort of like walks towards him, and then eventually he chins her with a lolly stick.
So I quite like that scene, because it is it's a subversion of what normally happens in vampire movies. Normally, it goes back to something that's always cribbed from Dracula, because in Dracula the first victim in England is Lucy. And in a lot of vampire films, that's the same. The first victim is an attractive, young, voluptuous woman who rises up from a coffin looking kind of like, ooh, I should be scared. But she's pretty hot. Whereas this, we have an absolutely horrible corpse of a... I know you shouldn't, be discourteous about people's appearance, but, a middle-aged woman who looks rough as a badger's ass getting up.
Exactly.
And that's kind of a nice subversion of the usual kind of tropes that, up until, the point this came out, that was the standard form. And this, at the time, in the book and in this version on the TV, this was like, breaking the rules and, putting a spin on it. I also do like the fact that, you do get a little kind of subtle explanation of how vampires actually get out of their coffins, is that they can turn to mist.
Yes.
And I like the little touch of poltergeist activity of kind of like parting tantrum.
Yeah.
Bollocks to you.
Yeah.
Knock over your shit, I'm going.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to knock over your table and I'm leaving. I'm out.
Although I would have liked to have seen, them struggling to get out of the coffin, because I think that would have added an element of comedy to it.
Yeah, just cut to
get up.
Just cut to the graveyard and just going across the graveyard. When you hear, hello.
Unlock the fucking door, you stupid cunt.
Who didn't leave me with a fucking shovel? Anyway, and
do we mention about the rocking chair bit?
Well, I was just going to get to that because it all kicks off at this point, because over at Mike Ryerson's house, he's not Mike Ryerson's house.
Matt Burke's house.
I was going to Mark Petrie's. We got Mark Petrie. He's freaking out, trying to tell the priest that there's vampires in the town, and the mum and the dad are being super rational and are doing the Dana Scully thing. Are you a little stressed? Is terrible things happening to you? Who's touched you inappropriately? That kind of thing. Yeah. Which is kind of ironic, given that the priest is sitting there, and. And as they're doing that, suddenly out of nowhere, sort of James Mason just walks in and goes, "Hello, I've just turned up to borrow a cup of sugar." As he does that, fucking this black bin liner just appears in the corner of the room, comes through the window, and just rises up, smashes the parents' heads together, and it's Barlow, and this is our first proper look at him.
Well, I like the fact that it's a realistic, they're going more with the traditional things of the things that vampires can turn into, like a brick and a cape, just to go through a window, because that's what it looked like.
It's not as unconvincing as the owl from Blair Witch 2, which is still counts as the most unrealistic creature suddenly coming through a window of its own volition that I've ever seen.
Hey, can turn into a brick.
Yeah, that is Mr. Owl's finest moment. I have to say, if you've never seen the owl coming through the window in Blair Witch 2,
oh man,
it was worth the price of admission for that shit film, because I literally pissed myself laughing for 20 minutes when they see this thing and it's like a stuffed hairy bullet that they just fire through a window. You can even see the steam from the cannon where they used to fire it through. Anyway.
Hear the whoosh.
You do. You literally hear everyone going, "I didn't think that'd work."
Chicken gun.
Yeah, it is. It is like a goose cannon for the old for the plane testing. And but anyway, so Barlow turns up, smashes Mark's parents' heads together, kills them outright, and then James Mason does this thing of test your faith against Mr. Barlow's faith. All you have to do is put down the cross.
All you have to do is wear this silly hat.
Yes, and these ears, and bark for me. And so the priest nobly says, "My life for Mark's," which is a much better scene in the book, because it leads to I tell you what it reminded me of, and this bit I do remember from the book. It reminded me of the preacher from the parson from War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
going out to face the Martians, thinking that his faith's going to save him.
Yes.
But he does it against Barlow, who proves himself quite capable of dealing with the cross by grabbing it out of his hands and basically killing him. But which kind of is a weird thing in itself, because it's one of those kind of, again, you have to have faith to make this work, Mr. Vincent kind of moments.
Yes.
From Fright Night.
Well, that's where Fright Night gets it from.
Exactly.
From the book.
Exactly. Yeah. From that.
I mean, I think for this scene, it's kind of, for me, it's kind of, when I read the book, I always think they really did miss a trick in making Barlow a mute Nosferatu.
Yes.
Because the scene in the book, I mean, for start, the character Father Callahan is a lot better developed.
Yes.
Throughout the book, as he's noticing what's happening in the town, but he's a thief. The priest is having a crisis of faith anyway.
Yeah.
And you do get a really sort of good sort of battle of words between him and Barlow in this scene.
Yes. And it gives power to the whole your faith versus mine thing, because it's like the vampire knows it's on the winner, because it already knows that the priest has really kind of, lost his faith, and suddenly seeing a full-blown vampire sort of suavely stomping around like, well, he is more like he is in the remake of this TV movie, which was basically a mid-80s Rutger Hauer with a mullet.
Oh, that's what Barlow looks like.
Yeah, well, that's what he looks like in the remake of this TV show, because they did a remake, and the Ben Mears character was played by Rob Lowe.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Right, okay.
And Barlow is actually Rutger Hauer.
Oh, he is Rutger Hauer.
It is Rutger Hauer, yeah.
Right.
So in some ways, the remake, even though it's shit, is actually more faithful to the book in some ways.
But in other ways, it's an absolute travesty.
Yeah, in other ways, it's a complete pile of dog arse. But anyway, so the priest is down, and then we cut to the infamous rocking chair scene with "Look at me, teacher" kind of thing, where the teacher finds Mike Ryerson. Fucking hell, blimey, these names. Sitting in a rocking chair, and teacher has a heart attack. And I'm about to have a cardiac arrest. Oh, and he goes down, and then we cut to the morning, and we find Bonnie Bedelia's Susan, who has been conveniently for the most of the rest of this film been written out by having a job to go to in a completely different city. I'm going off for a job interview while all this shit's going down. Don't worry, as long as we got crosses in the house, we'll all be fine.
I like the way the sheriff kind of just fucks off as well. He's like, no, don't worry about me.
Yeah, peace out, 5,000. Gee, I'm not getting paid enough to deal with this.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, the sheriff is not turned up for work as well, isn't he? And then you got his deputy that's just lounging around. He looks like he's been bitten as well.
Yeah. And again, it's all stuff that with the book pays off, because you get to know these characters. But in the film, you're just watching just random people just go, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit ill." You're like, "Who are you?" What's that all about?
Yeah.
It's a very English vampire movie.
Yes.
I'm feeling slightly off.
I'm feeling slightly on the wonk, if I'm honest.
The brother that punched Mears, who got locked up in the prison or the jail, he also gets taken out, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because while Mears is in hospital, all that kicks off.
Yeah. And
that is possibly the biggest scare for me in this film, where when the master turns up into the jail cell.
Yeah, because it's a flash frame of basically Barlow's face.
Yeah, and I think the effects of that look terrific, but I think his presence, the master's presence in the kitchen where he's got the little boy wrapped around and he's against the priest, he looks really menacing there because he's so bloody tall. And he's just so dominating. He dominates that whole room around the priest.
Yeah.
And I found that really effective.
Where are we on the potato scale?
Okay, in the kitchen, still none, but I'm impressed. In the jail cell, yeah, that made me jump. That was kind of 2 frames later, so it caught me out as to where he would be jumping up.
Yeah.
So that was really effective. So I'd say about 3 potatoes on that scene.
Nice. So after that, after all of this evening's all kicked off, and then you find, old Ben Mears is out of hospital. They decide that they're going to go. He and the doctor are going to go off and take care of Barlow. They still don't know if, all they know is that vampire law says that they should go and kill the master vampire. But again, they don't really know what they're getting themselves into, to be honest, because again, it's TV tropes. It's kind of like the audience has seen Barlow several times, so therefore every character in the show now knows about Barlow. And we also cut to Susan, who's gone up to the Marsden house, and she spots Mark Petrie trying to break into the house. He's vowed revenge for the death of his parents, and he goes into the house. She goes into the house, following him, and then later on, Ben and the doctor go into the house, and that essentially leads to multiple showdowns, I think it's best to say. And we get, just before that, we kind of find out why Ben hates the house, which is that he's seen a ghost in the house of a murderer and the victim who was hanging in the house.
And that's it.
Yeah. But he tells you that. We don't get to see it.
No. But that's it.
And again, it's one of those things that King does really well with characters. He gives you that sort of phobia stuff right at the beginning, right up front, and and then it informs everything that the character is doing. Whereas Ben kind of drops it as a sort of another plot point just before, effectively before going in the house. I mean, it's a little earlier than that. I think we missed the point where it actually gets revealed, but it's just suddenly like, oh, that's why he's scared of the house. It's a ghost. And it's like, really? You're going to pile ghosts on top of this at this point?
I think you got a bit more to worry about.
Well, in the book is the backstory of why Salem's Lot is prey to a vampire is fleshed out through what Ben knows.
Yeah.
Essentially, you find it was... as it says in the film version, the original owner killed his wife and servant and hung himself. And they were at the hands of a chap called Hubie Marston, who was highly unsavoury, and children were disappearing. And I think it's where either Mark Petrie or Ben Mears is in the house, they find that Marston is a devotee of the dark side, shall we say, and has contacted Barlow and has invited him to the town.
That's right. Yeah.
And kind of everything Marston's doing is effectively toxifying the place.
Yeah.
Terraforming. If you'll pardon the terrible pun. But that's why in the book you have that's why the dog is killed. Because that's a sacrifice to desanctify the graveyard so the vampires can rise in it when they're buried. Yeah. And Ralphie Glick is also actually just not only the first victim, but he is the sacrifice that will allow the master to thrive there.
Yeah. It is that sort of whole thing of desecrating the land. It's almost satanically sanctifying the ground, isn't it?
It's also the idea that the Marston House is in the book is described as it's being built up as being literally a battery of evil.
Yeah, a beacon, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And so again, it's another sort of like doesn't quite pay off in the way the book does.
It's kind of there, but it's kind of when you read the book, it all thought you, oh, right, I get it now.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Whereas in this, it's kind of like, this almost feels like a reason to not
Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, exactly. To just to have a reason for David Soul to be scared going into the house beforehand. So they go into the house, and down the stairs comes James Mason, but not before he's managed to pick up the Doctor with what seems like supernatural strength and then randomly jam him onto a wall of antlers. The most random wall of antlers. I mean, let's be honest. Who has a wall of antlers the first place? Trophy antlers, perhaps.
I do.
You do?
Yeah,
nice.
It's in the bathroom.
That's lovely. Yeah. Trophy antlers, fair enough. If you're one of those kind of redneck hunter kind of dudes, you want to put up a trophy on the wall, that's fine. But this is literally like, there's like ram's horns, like only about ankle height. It's that many, there's that many kind of weird and wacky horns.
Yeah.
And James Mason just appears and just hangs him on it.
It's his superpowers that he just happens to have that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, again, this is the conflating of Barlow's character and Straker's character, because that's a Barlow move. Because
I say in the book the Doctor dies because in the book they're looking all around town to try and find where his coffin is, because in the book Barlow just isn't a fool. He's going to leave it in his own house.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's always moving. It's always been moved around as well. That's and they're searching the now pretty much almost ghost town. And the Doctor goes into a cellar and finds that Barlow has removed the stairs. Much like you have in this scene here when the Marston house, but when Dr. Jimmy goes down the stairs, he actually falls down and Barlow's laid a trap of just like literally dozens of knives pointing upwards.
Yeah.
And he dies kind of impaled multiple times.
Yeah, though I have to say the scene where Mark Petrie just walks out that door and just falls down the hole where there used to be steps. Is quite amusing. Anyway, so they get James Mason walking down the stairs, and in real Columbo villain death moment, or sort of victim death, David Soul shoots him 5 times while while James Mason basically threatens him with a chair leg.
I'm going to hit you with this.
Yes, I'm going to take this leg. I'm coming down the stairs and I'm going to hit you with it. Bang. Now I'm still coming down the stairs. Bang. No, I will not be stopped. Bang. I'm still bang. I tell you what, just give me a second. Just
me a flesh wound.
Just hold on. I've got a stitch. Bang. Oh, no, I'm going down the stairs now. I'm coming to get you. Bang. Okay, I've given up. And he just kind of sinks to the floor. And that's when Mark Petrie and Ben find Barlow's lair by falling out of a door where there's no stairs. And how do you feel about this ending? Because it seems to me it's like the most anticlimactic climax I've seen in a very long time. It's kind of like, it feels like it should be a lot more tense, because they go into a little hole in a wall, and there's all of our previously seen characters turned into vampires.
Yes,
and they're all asleep, and then then Ben and Mark have to pull
the coffin out.
And pull it out in a kind of like, let's not make a noise. Yeah, exactly. It was like sort of 16-year-old me getting my first getting my first, shall we say, arty film and putting it into a VHS player.
Oh, I love that story. We had Ed 209 all of a sudden show up to do the special effects for your video recorder.
Exactly. It's like...
Please do up your trousers. You have 20 seconds to comply.
Exactly. And so they unsubtly sneak Mr. Barlow out through this door in the most noisy, scratchy way possible, and just assume that Mr. Barlow's going to be asleep. I mean, that's kind of a bit of an assumption anyway. I mean, because don't know about you, but if someone shakes me in my bed, I'll wake up. If someone picks the entire bed up, drags it 20 feet out of a door, and then drops it, you might think you might wake up. And we get a scene where basically Barlow just lies there and takes it. And in every sense of the word.
Yep. It is like he's putting up a fucking fence, isn't it? When he's trying to lay that stake into his heart.
Yeah. It is. It's kind of like David Soul just sort of opens the coffin and Barlow's asleep. And he gets the stake and he kind of takes like 2 or 3. He looks like he's doing DIY disasters. It's like, measure twice, cut once. It's like sort of right place. No, not quite.
Just like trying to watch Nick Knowles try to kill a vampire.
Yeah, using one of those grabby machines from an arcade. The one with the claw, kind of sort of moving slightly forward and back and kind of jiggling about a bit. And then finally, he gets the most weak-ass looking hammer that looks like he's literally just got it from some sort of toffee hammer set. And he just goes, tink, tink, tink. And he takes about 3 whacks, and then Barlow kind of goes, oh, fuck! And it is a good jump scare. But it is one of these things where the way that Barlow just goes, oh! You just go.
That's a real. I've just stepped on a Lego brick face with bare feet. That's what it is.
It's a real fuck.
That's gritty teeth.
He's like, Jesus Christ.
It just degenerates into a growl after a while. It's so painful.
Cheers. And Davy Soul just lays on the stake and just slowly drives it into Barlow, while all the vampires in the other room very, 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 very slowly walk up and crawl towards the door.
I quite like that.
That I have to say, that is quite a menacing scene. If I wasn't laughing so hard at Barlow's face at that point, I was actually in tears.
I like the bit when the talking about Barlow's face.
Yeah,
it's the bit because he doesn't speak. He has to do everything by mime. So it's that bit where he's got the kid by the throat, and they're trying to convince the priest to come over, and it's like Barlow's literally going,
yeah, sort of gesture at the kid. Yeah. Gesture at the wall. Gesture at the kid. Gesture at the wall. Kid wall. Kid wall. Oh. And anyway, but yeah. So the vampires are trying to crawl out the door, and Mark's holding the door shut, and David Soul carries on putting up a fence, which is essentially trying to kill Barlow, and then Barlow dies, and the camera just goes back to a skeleton with some plastic bags on it. And then the mouth just comically opens up in a way. Yeah, just like, he's like, he's like, hello. Burke, where's my food? And then that's it. We just kind of
rushes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just kind of jumps from then to back to Guatemala, and it's like, oh, but it doesn't just go back to Guatemala; it replays the entire first scene, word for word, shot for shot, that we had in the very first episode. So you're sitting there going, "I've seen this," and then it just goes, oh, here's Bonnie Bedelia. She's had her makeup done. And, David Soul kills her. The end. Yeah. I mean...
do you know what? He's a bit slow on the uptake, though, isn't it? Yeah, at the end there, when she's like laying on the bed, she's got her eyes closed. It's like, dude, you've obviously now a bit more experienced in the vampire hunting sort of scene, because you've gone and acquired the new slick back hair look that all vampire hunters apparently gain.
Yes.
Now, so you should know for a fact if the eyes are a dead giveaway. So if somebody's laying there that you haven't seen for a while, you somehow lost track of them within a house full of vampires. If they show up on your bed with their eyes closed, something's not quite right.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if they open them.
He has the steak ready, though, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He does have the steak ready. Yeah, he does do that. So, and that's kind of where it ends. I mean, I failed to mention the whole fact that he basically burns the house to the ground, but essentially that's it.
Wow.
That is it.
That is it, yeah.
That is it. So how do we actually feel about this? I mean,
I think they were maybe toying with leaving this end open for a series.
Do you know what? I think you're right.
Because kind of in the book, the kind of you have the same sort of prologue with them in far-flung places, but they decide they're going to go back and sort it out, and they go back and start a fire and essentially burn the town down and clear out all the vampires. Whereas this, you sort of have like, I mean, I remember actually when this was on originally, a friend of mine, he said, I think the ending is a bit like the Incredible Hulk, isn't it? That they're going to go on the road, and whenever the holy water glimmers, they know a vampire's near and they're going to have to deal with one.
Actually, yeah. It did look like a MacGuffin because the holy water doesn't glow in the rest of the film.
No.
And it's only that bit at the end, and it's like, I did notice that this time round. I was like, when they go and get holy water from the church before going to the Marsden house, and they go in there, and it doesn't do the fucking Lord of the Rings Sting only glows blue in the face of orcs. I mean, it kind of doesn't do any of that stuff. It's only later on in the sort of epilogue that it actually does that. So yeah, that makes sense actually. If they were going to carry it on, so yeah. So what do you think about it, Jim? Now looking back on it,
it's one of those things. It's kind of, I think it has some really good moments in it. I kind of appreciate how they really did try to stay true to the book and not just go off on some crazy tangent of their own, like the Rob Lowe version does.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very much sort of held down by the fact that it's American TV at the time.
Yeah.
And it's that thing. It's kind of when I was younger, it's kind of, oh yes, make this book into a movie, make it into a TV show. And now I'm getting much more of the Alan Moore. No, just leave it alone. Don't.
Yeah, just stop it.
These things don't always translate well unless you're very good at it. Them. And I mean, part of the fun of the book like Salem's Lot, is that you have this big cast of characters, and I kind of appreciated they sort of tried to incorporate that, but they don't really follow through in part 2 with the characters they set up in part 1. Which is kind of a shame, and I think things like the end is kind of very much hampered, not so much by the adaptation, but by the limits of what they could actually do on the TV at the time and what they could get away with. Although I actually appreciate though the multiple hammerings, because I did read a book on screen violence that had it was like an anthology with different bits from studies from all different experts about violence on screen, and a fascinating one by a doctor who said, well, in a movie, someone shoots someone, this happens, or someone gets stabbed, this happens. In real life, this is how it would go out. It did do staking through the heart. And it is kind of like, actually, you do have like a huge sheath of essentially sort of gristle on the inside of your ribs. It's actually very difficult to, you can't just go, do the old stiletto through the rib. Yeah, that wouldn't happen. It's more like, oh, get in, bastard. Give me a hand here. It's really tough to puncture. So I did appreciate it wasn't the usual kind of bang, one blow, done. But at the same time, because of the limits of TV, it was kind of, well, you're not going to see any blood, and it ends up robbing the moment of its visceral power, if you know what I mean. One blow would have been more horrific.
Yeah.
But, it's one of the, I still have a lot of nostalgia for it. I like James Mason in it. I've never really got over my irk, though, that kind of they made Barlow mute, as much as I actually like the look of the makeup. Yeah. And how kind of Barlow, just as a presence, is very effectively done. But it's one of those, it's of its time. It's kind of, and that's kind of, at the time, it was something very radical and very different. And it really sort of, set the beat for and revitalized the vampire genre that had been just doing reruns of Dracula, either in name or not in name. And I also think it was a shame that it wasn't too much longer. We got Anne Rice, who made vampires foppy. And we lost that kind of idea that there was satanic evil, which sort of King brought back in this. And it is sort of in the TV series. I think with part one, I think, though, it's that thing of the medium again. It plays very much almost like a soap opera, the first half. Yeah. And that's not entirely out of keeping with the kind of storylines of the book, you know what I mean? A big lot of characters and you get to know them and all their lives and what have you. But it's just a shame. I think looking at it now, you can see where this scene's missing or things were, cut out and decisions were made. And so it's like a lot of adaptations. It's full of great moments and set pieces that you can recognize from the book. And if you've read the book, it works sort of quite well as kind of like a slideshow. Yeah. Dramatized scenes.
Like a greatest hits kind of thing.
Yeah. But kind of overall, it's lacking. And, that's not just a diss on Salem's Lot. That's a diss on an awful lot of screen adaptations, if I'm honest. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It is. That's the nature of the beast, unfortunately, But, as I say, I still think it is one of the better King, adaptations, that it gets what the book is about. Whereas, others quite badly dropped the ball and sort of missed key points of what made the book fun. As much as, I admire John Carpenter, his decision to make the car, it's an evil car, rather than it's a car that's actually haunted by an evil man, was a massive misstep. But
in Christine,
yeah. So, of its time, I enjoyed going back to it, although it is flawed, it is dated, but it has its good points as well.
Yeah, cool. And Elton, what about you? This is your first time seeing it.
Yeah, I can see why people love it. I'm just way too late to this to actually appreciate it for what it is, to actually get the scares the first time round as well. I am the world's biggest wuss anyway, but with this, I'm just too late to the party to appreciate it. I can appreciate the craft in it. There are bits that I did really enjoy. The shotgun moment, everything with the master, really. I really liked him in it, but it was very few and far between. I liked all the iconic stuff as well. I can appreciate it for being iconic, but I'm just too late for it. Really am. It's nothing I'm going to ever retread again.
Okay. So it did nothing for you?
No, one jump scare really that kind of got me, because it was just a little bit too late in the shot. It was more, I know it's there and it's coming, and it was just, it caught me off guard, shall we say. It wasn't on the normal timing of a jump scare that you would get. And apart from that, it just doesn't really. Vampires don't worry me at all.
Okie dokie, fair enough. What about you, Mr. B?
Well, I don't actually remember. I've seen it before.
Don't remember anything.
I don't remember anything at all. I've seen it before, but I don't really remember that much of it. And I've got to say that had we had an Angela Lansbury's Guide to the Undead, this would have been on it.
Nice.
Because this did look like it was filmed in the backlot of Murder, She Wrote. In fact, that could have been Cabot Cove that they filmed it in right there. But apart from that, yeah, it was all right. It was okay. I kind of lost interest in it through various points, but that's because I watched it all in one go. I think had I chopped it up into 2 bits, I think I would have been in better stead with it. So there were some spooky parts in it. It really didn't scare the shit out of me. Yeah, some effective bits, but that's about it, really. It's not really going to be... I don't think I'm going to be watching this again anytime soon, if ever.
If ever again.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, fair enough. For me, I have to say I enjoyed it for the nostalgia value. I enjoyed remembering it and remembering what I saw in it. I appreciate it for scenes which I just thought, for the time and probably the budget, what it was pulling off and how it was doing it. But this time around, I have to say, there were scenes that actually made me actively giggle, as opposed to sitting there going, "Oh no!" I mean, there were a couple of jump scares. I mean, the jail scene, the jail room scene, the bit when Barlow opens his eyes when David Soul puts the first boot in, but then that just gave way to fits of laughter because I just could not get past the fact that he did look exactly as you say, Dale. He looked like he'd stepped on a lump of Lego with a bare foot, stepped on an upturned plug. He was just like, fucking hell. And, once that was in my mind, I couldn't get past it. The acting's not bad. It's shot competently enough and effectively enough, but everything's too well lit and the freeze frame scares, which require sort of like literally like the end of Police Squad, where everyone has to stand still. They take a photograph and then move the photograph towards the camera. It was just like, no, that's not a scare. That's just looking at a still photo while music goes squee, squee. And then, that was it really. So, overall, could have been a lot scarier. Wasn't as scary as I remember. And I think a lot of what I found as scary was kind of like nostalgia. Yeah. In its of its time.
It's a bit like me in Prince of Darkness.
Well, I still haven't. I just know.
I did revisit that. It's like, what the fuck was I talking about?
Yeah, what the fuck were you talking about on that one? Right, so that's that. That is Salem's Lot. So now it's time to tell you what we're going to be doing next week. Well, next week, I say next week, but it depends because if people are off and things are happening, things might get rescheduled. But we also potentially have a guest host in the shape of Richard Tingley. Because we will be reviewing.
Oh, Dick Tingley, he likes to be known.
No, he doesn't like to be known like that.
He doesn't. He good old Dick Tingley. That's what he calls him. That's
I know.
Part of the page.
Okay, fair enough. And he will be joining us, whether it's next week or the week after, depending on how these things go, for the film that is available on Netflix called Wolfcop. Have any of us seen Wolfcop?
I have.
I haven't.
You have, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking forward to seeing Wolfcop?
Yeah, I had fun with it the first time I saw it. I mean, I heard about it on a podcast that seems to be now resting called Hammered Horror. And I tracked it down after hearing them singing its praises for the kind of the schlocky silliness that it is.
Nice.
And I thought it was a very fun kind of sort of throwback to those sort of cheesy 80s movies in many ways.
Yeah.
And it's good kind of like a Saturday night movie, if you know what I mean.
Nice. Yeah, beer and a pizza movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, brilliant. Okay, then. Well, cool. So, so we'll be doing Wolfcop. I would ask you, Elton, but I suspect I know the answer. Have you
Never even heard of it.
No, I figured. I haven't. I literally, I know of it from Mondo posters and a tiny clip that I saw on a late night film show on YouTube. And yeah, Dow, have you seen this? Did you say you had?
No, I haven't seen it at all, but I think it looks pretty damn fantastic. So,
right.
Just from the clips I've seen of it, it's that sort of over the top. You know, it knows it's a comedy. Like it's not being pretentious. It's playing with the format, and yeah, cool. I really like the look of it.
Nice. Okay, then. Well, so hopefully, like I say, it may be next week, it may be the week after. We'll have to check our schedules. And let's see if we can make intermittent weeks of horror move on into December. See if we can get it for a record. But so we will be back next time for Wolfcop. But while we're away before watching it, you can listen to our other hosts doing wonderful podcasts and stuff. So, Jim, where can we hear your stuff, and what are you doing this week?
You can hear me on the Hypnagoria podcast, where what have I just done? So I did all the Halloween specials,
the Misty, and
yes, I did a review of Rebellion's new collected edition of an old British horror strip from the short-lived Scream, The Dracula File.
Nice.
And this week, there's more Triffids coming. If I remember rightly.
Nice. Get your pruning shears out. Cool. Okie dokie. And what about you, Elton?
You can catch me on the Band of Brothers podcast. There's a new episode dropping this week at some point. Also got the Grand Prix podcast and Shonky Lab, which we're recording tomorrow night, Wednesday night, which will be covering phobias and BMX. So pop along to mixler.com/Road2Media, and then you can find myself and Mr. Lee Metcalf talking about that rubbish.
Oh, not that twat. Right, okay. Fair enough. Cool. And, you can hear me on this. Space Doc's dead. Right, that's it. So, so do keep in contact with us through the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/the Black Dog Podcast, on Twitter, which is at Black Dog Podcast, and my Instagram, for God knows reasons why, I'm Cartoon Beardy. And that's about it. Yeah, and you can catch up with old episodes on iTunes and on the website, which is blackdogpodcast.com. Right, and I know that a few of you have sent in emails with feedback and what have you. Again, apologies we've not read it out because we've been doing this feedback-free format. And if we didn't cover anything from your feedbacks on the Facebook group, we can only apologise, but it is a 3-hour film and we kind of got a little bit sidetracked. So do check out everyone's thoughts about this film over on the Black Dog Podcast group and on Facebook. And we'll see you all next week, or possibly the week after, for Wolfcop, which has a wolf that turns into a cop. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Night.
Ta-da.
Oh, bollocks to it.